And my mom left, I remember it was devastating. I was 3. I'll never forget that day because it changed my attitude towards the whole world. I have to find out why my mommy don't like me and why nobody likes me. What's wrong with me? And when I look back at my whole life, I wouldn't change anything. And the only reason is because I'm okay now. I am exactly right here where I'm supposed to be because this is what the universe wants.
Even the bad stuff
That's the
is
point.
valuable.
How do you get there unless you go through the bad stuff?
Right.
I've always started out with a riff. Even when the first song I ever wrote, I was 18 and I made up a guitar riff. And I really couldn't play any of the instruments, but I knew what I wanted to hear. And I could get to the instrument and play and say, this is what I want you to do. And they'd play it. Play this, just play it faster.
Play it better.
Yeah. When I sing, I'm never emotional, but I can emulate the emotion. And now I'm pulling out old records going, dude, you were really in pain, dude. Well, I'm glad you're out of that now. All those years, and most people don't know you're gay, and it's like, it's obvious. I didn't care. I didn't go around telling everybody. I was doing an interview for this Christian magazine, but I thought to myself, just go ahead and say it. And I did. All the Christian record stores barred King Sex Records. And I remember Ty saying, good, now we can go be who we want to be and make music the way we want to.
Well, it's the land of the free and home of the brave. Stairs in the houses that the muted. But leave them alone and what they're gonna say. With the clean black fucking markers here to stay.
My next guest is a cross-genre rock god, not only considered so by his dedicated fans, but also by famous and highly esteemed musicians across the world. To name just a few, here are some of the musicians and bands who claim to be inspired by this cat. Jeff Ament, Pearl Jam, Chris Cornell, Alice in Chains, Andy Summers of The Police, Mick Mars of Motley Crue, the late Ronnie James Dio, Billy Corgan and Smashing Pumpkins, Scott Ian, George Lynch, Eric Gales, the late Dimebag Darrell and Rex Brown of Pantera, Vernon Reid of Living Colour, Billy Gibbons of ZZ Top, U2's Bono, Joe Satriani, and Richie Blackmore, who actually offered this cat a job as the lead singer for Deep Purple at one point, and even the great Nile Rodgers. So as you know, this channel is predicated upon bringing independent thinkers together, even those who think differently. So for those of you who've already heard of this cat, I want to present to you a truly caring and relatable human being. And for those who have not heard of him, I wish to present to you a man of talent who will blow your mind and bring inspiration to your life, especially in light of his humility. So without further ado, please help me in welcoming to the podcast, Mr. Doug Pinnick of King's X.
Over my head.
All right. But I did want to start with a different take on your being raised by your great-grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of a two-pronged question here. One, how did that come to be? Because I'm not familiar with why you were raised by your great-grandmother. And then now that we're old, and you just happy belated 75.
Yeah.
So you're 75 now. Does any of her lessons or anything come back to mind now that you're kind of at an age where she would have been when she was teaching you things, whether it's in your writing or just life in general?
Let me try to condense this. My great-grandmother's daughter had my mother out of wedlock, and my mother had me out of wedlock. And she sort of kind of, I don't know if she did that with my mom, but we were left with the great-grandma to take care of us. Both my grandmother left and had her another world, and my mother left and had another world. So my great-grandmother was stuck with us. I shouldn't say stuck with us, but she kept us. And, it's funny how people kind of don't want to be disrespectful to their parents and stuff like that and try to be nice. Families go, don't say that about so-and-so. But my great-grandmother, she did everything she could, the best she could. But she was the daughter of an ex-slave. She wasn't very nurturing. She wasn't outgoing to you. You just kind of existed, and she didn't talk much. She's very quiet all the time, and she complained about everybody else and what they were doing wrong.
Mhm.
And as a child, I lived with her for 14 years. And none of her 10 children would come visit her, except for the boys would come into the house, give her $20, talk to her for a half hour, and leave once in a while.
Wow.
All the spouses and the children never came to the house and never came inside to say hi to her. I never thought anything of it. I just always wondered why. But even the wives would sit in the car. They didn't even go in the house. So, I'm looking at all this stuff going on, thinking, and everybody's acting like everything's great. So I'm like going, okay, this is the way it is. And I always tell this story. It's not to have anybody feel sorry for me, but when my mom left when I was 3, she was thrown out, which I didn't know till I was 65. So I was mad at her, thinking she just left me, but that she was thrown out. And so 65 years, I was mad at her. So I had to get through that.
Thrown out by whom?
Huh?
Thrown out by whom?
Her mother, or her great grandmother, the woman that raised me.
Okay.
Because she was pregnant out of wedlock. And then back in the 50s when I was born, I didn't know anybody didn't have a daddy but me. I mean, unwed mother was just a complete disgrace, and they hid it. Whatever, people got married, whatever they did,
Right,
But it was
yeah.
it was the 50s,
Different
everybody
time.
was playing that game, that mask. And but when my mom left, I remember it was devastating. I was 3, and one day I asked my grandma, I want my mommy, and I was just pretty much as a little 3-year-old would do, freaking out. His mommy's gone, okay?
Mhm.
And she grabbed me and shook me and said, quit your bellowing. She don't want to be bothered with you anyway. I'll never forget that day, because that day was like, okay. And it changed my attitude towards the whole world. At that point, I have to find out why my mommy don't like me and why nobody likes me. What's wrong with me?
Right.
And so my whole journey was to figure out what's wrong with me. And the more I looked, the more I found more things wrong with me.
Well, yeah,
And
if you look for
and the
that.
good thing about it was at the end of it, I found my way out of it, which was a miracle. Around 70 is when I started coming out of that whole funk. But at 75 now, I look back at her and just realize she did the best she could. My grandma did the best she could. My mom did the best she could. My grandma had 16 kids, and my great grandma had 10. And and we all lived in the North. We didn't live in the South. So the whole family's been there since the 1800s. We could read and write. We hung out with white people. I went to school with white kids. There was like maybe 5 or 6 black families in the area, southern part of Illinois, or southern part of Chicago, outside the city. We're about 40 miles outside of Chicago.
Okay.
And it was just an area. It was a coal mine, and some black folks just needed work. And all of a sudden, it was like a little settlement. And they all started marrying each other, and everybody's having kids. So almost every one of them was my relatives. They were separating people. They were sending people off to live somewhere else because so-and-so was going to have a baby with a cousin of who,
Yeah.
Literally it got that crazy when my grandma was shuffling babies around and keeping people from each other
That'd be
because
stressful.
illegitimacy was happening, but nobody wanted to talk about it. So when all of a sudden so-and-so's dating so-and-so, you go, wait a minute, that's your uncle's child, but nobody told us. That's,
Yikes.
And
Yeah.
so that got crazy. And even in my immediate family, like my dad had 2 kids when I was born by his wife, and he went on to have 3 more. I dated my first cousin, which was his brother's, which was my dad's brother, illegitimate daughter. And when I said, I just found out who my daddy is. I was going to high school. I just moved in with my mom, and I just met my dad. And she said, and I says, and you go to high school with some of my cousins and my brother and blah, blah, blah. I was like, all excited because these are new people
Yeah.
that I had met. And she goes, who's your daddy? And I told her, she said, well, mine is, and we laughed and went, so we're first cousins. He goes, yeah,
Damn
so
it.
there's no more dating there.
Damn it.
But yeah, I've had a crazy life for sure.
So maybe some of those lessons were lessons that you didn't necessarily take and apply them, but they were lessons that you avoided,
No, I
perhaps?
think I applied them all. My whole life ended up, if you want to say, desperately needing to feel that I belong and understood. W- Through my psychological journey, that's what I found. The crux of everything that I had done
Hmm.
is because that child just wants to feel like he belongs and for people to understand him. What I learned after almost 75 years of beating my head over, beating myself down, I realized it's all inside me. I have to accept myself and I don't have to explain myself to anyone. And all of a sudden it's like this big weight lifted.
I bet.
And then it was like it opened the jar. Then all the stuff started to come out that I didn't know was in there that was driving me to be the person I didn't want to be. And
Stuff
then
that you were just able to let go that
yeah,
you were.
well, they call it the shadows.
Mhm.
I faced my shadows and I embraced all the things I hate about myself to the point where now I understand that is my strength. And that's why I feel different and that's why I feel like I don't belong. And it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing, and live your life and look back at your life and see what's brought you here. And I look back and there's the incredible journey that I've had that I didn't pay attention to. Now I look back and go, oh, you've always been doing that. Now you're aware of it. Now it means something
You can
to you.
appreciate it.
I can appreciate it.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
So many times, when people come up to me and say they're alive because of a song they heard off of a King's X record 3 decades ago. A guy says to me, my wife put the gun down when she heard Summerland. And, a trans person came up and said I was going to kill myself, but you said don't give a fuck about what anybody thinks and be yourself. I said that from stage one night in a song.
Hmm.
And the next time I came to that town, she came up and said, thank you.
Wow.
Even Taylor Swift's guitar player said he was going to give up guitar playing. And he came to a King's X show in LA and I said the same story about just empowering people.
Yeah.
And he decided not to give up. And now he's a head guitar coordinator for Taylor Swift.
Love it.
And he came up and said, I just want to thank you, And so I never went out to be this. I just went out to feel like I belong. And I see everybody that I see the child in them, and I see they just want to be seen like I want to be seen, and so let's hang out, let's see each other,
I love it.
and it's hard to allow yourself to be seen. And it's important to learn how to let someone let their guard down so they can be seen without being afraid to be seen.
I think that's absolutely true. And you take that lesson forward, as hard of a time as you had and more of an excuse
Mhm.
not to be seen. I think we all feel that way,
Yeah.
especially now since
Mhm.
all you have to do is expose one little thing and it's gone everywhere. So it's a little too late to go get it
Yeah.
back, right?
I've dealt with that. I think, somebody got into my pictures and I thought, well, there it is.
Yeah. Too
I
bad.
got nothing to hide, not anymore. You can't, you get to a place in your life where if anything bothers you, then you have a problem with yourself. And that's what I had to get to is like, whatever you throw at me, if I know it ain't true, I'm not going to walk away and let it lay in my head for the next years and make me change my clothes or change the way I write music or change who I am.
Yeah.
If it's not true, it's not true. But how do you do that until you know who you are?
Yeah.
And that you're aware of those manipulative people who see the good in you and want to take it from you because they're out there, they're jealous.
Oh, yeah.
And so, those are, one day I opened my eyes up, and I'm going, oh my God, I didn't realize there was all these people around us that are literally sucking the life out of people.
What was the epiphany that you talk about that
Mhm.
when you turned 70, you
Mhm.
just kind of had that awakening. What
Yeah.
was something that prompted it, or was it just the fact that you had a birthday and thought it was, a pivotal time in life, or what?
Two things. Yeah. I mean, it seems like my whole life changes every 10 years. And I was born in 1950. Every 10 years, there's a whole new era
Mm.
that happens of a whole new learning experience that I go through. And I had turned 70 and I had just got a new phone. And many times I've grabbed the camera or the phone and just ranted and raved at it, how I really feel. Just dropped the mask, dropped everything, and just fucking cried out and everything, just how I felt about life and myself. And I never could watch it back. As soon as I'd see myself tear over my face, I hated it. I was like, you pathetic little,
Mm.
and that's all I felt. And I turned it off. This time I did it, I was like at the bottom again in my mind, and
Yeah.
I'm, beating myself up. And so I said, I'm gonna do this. And I went and rattled off all this stuff, cried, the whole deal. And then at the end of it, I said, you're not gonna watch this anyway. And then I stopped and I went, if you watch this, tell me what you learned. And I turned it off. 2 days later, because I didn't want to do it.
Of
2 years,
course.
2 years later, I mean, 2 days later, I'm sorry, I turned it on and watched it. I made it to the end. And when I said to myself, tell me what you learned, and I busted out laughing.
Huh.
And I said to myself, what was the big fucking deal? It was like, it all made sense.
It's almost like you're counseling your best
Yes.
friend,
Uh-huh.
only you're getting to see the reflection and say, this is what I would tell someone else.
Right.
It's
And I
fabulous.
needed to hear that from myself to see it rather than to feel like everybody made me feel that way.
Yeah.
Because I let the world make me feel like I was not a big deal.
Yeah.
And that's what drove me crazy, because it's like having a parent who says you're the greatest thing in the world and another parent who says you're nothing. That's my whole life has been that way. As soon as I opened up my mouth to sing, I remember I was singing in church and I was probably 3 or 4 years old, or maybe 5, I don't know. But my aunt came up and she got on her knees and she put her hands on my shoulders like this. I was really little.
Yeah.
And she said, God has given you a gift. And she started praying for me. And she was Pentecostal, so she started praying in tongues.
Mm.
She told me that God is going to do all these things for me. He's going to make me a leader and blah, blah, blah. And I remember looking around the church thinking, what is she talking about? And I just want to go out and play. But from that point on, every time I sang, which was probably the only thing it seems like people reacted to, is when I sang. People just go and cry and just react. And so that was sort of like, that was my identity. And I know that I didn't do it to be liked, but it was just something that nobody complained about.
Hmm. Did it actually, I know it was kind of a natural thing for you,
Oh, it was.
talent-wise, but was it something that you enjoyed, or do you think you initially, at least, you think you pursued it because it was
No,
kind of one of the positive?
no, I just did it. I loved to sing. I was always singing.
Yeah.
When I was in grade school, high school, I was in the madrigals, I was in the choir. I remember in grade school, the teacher, I could do harmonies, and my teacher would make me sit in different sections and sing the harmonies with him when I was like 10 years old.
Yeah.
I was one of those kids. I just wasn't around. I didn't grow up with a family of musicians, so I didn't have that stuff.
Interesting.
It wasn't encouraged. What I found out that was my dad's family was like that, but I didn't know my dad. And I had my dad's sister was perfect pitch. She got on the piano, started playing when she was 3. And I didn't know that till I was grown, you know. So in my mother's family, which I grew up in, they're more analytical, very smart people, very I love the Pinnick family because they are just such a proud family who they just don't take no bullshit. I've always loved that about them. So that's the side I grew up in. So there was very seldom ever instruments or anything in anybody's house. All my aunts and uncles, nobody had pianos, guitars, or anything. Everybody listened to the radio, you know, and many of my relatives had record players because I'd go over their house and listen to their records all the time.
Right. That was more popular than TV in a lot of
Oh,
cases,
well, there
in the
wasn't
50s at least,
yeah,
right?
we didn't have TV. I
Right.
remember I was 12 when we got a TV.
Yeah.
I think I was 10 when we got an indoor bathroom, you know, so
Wow,
yeah,
wow.
good old days. Yeah, I forgot where we were going with this, but
Well, I went on the tangent.
oh, yeah,
Actually,
because
I
you wanna
prompted
know
that.
about what happened, when I was a kid.
Yeah, and
so
just and the motivation for singing being kind
Right.
of natural. Your inclination was natural. Now
Yeah.
you're saying it's kind of hereditary, but
Yeah,
still, it
and
was a passion still of yours, though.
it's natural, yeah,
Okay.
because, I mean, anything that you have natural, you gotta hone in on it. You know, all my brothers and sisters on my dad's side, and almost all of them can sing,
Hmm.
but very few of them have stepped up to the plate and tried and made it an art. You
Right.
know, they can sing in the choir, they can sing along on the record.
Yeah.
But I went up and went, okay, I'm gonna make a statement with my voice. I didn't do that on purpose, but I see now that that's what I was doing. You know, I don't know if, and you know, I wanted as I went through the shadow work. I realized, well, am I singing because I want to be liked and feel like I fit in, or am I singing because this is what I do?
That was kind of where I'm getting at.
And I had to get to that. I
Yeah.
had to sit down there, and it took a while to go back and go, okay, why are you doing this? And then I thought, you know, my mom said when she used to play records before she left, I would listen to the music and sing along. And she said I could sing before I could talk. And she said I would sing along with stuff, and she said when she'd turn the record player off, I'd start crying, and I'd yell, "Give me A's, give me A's." And she said she didn't understand what I was saying. And now I look back and go, well, she was playing Little Richard and rock and roll, you know,
Oh,
and people
man.
going, yeah, yeah, yeah. So I didn't know what that was. And she said every record that they had, I knew which one I wanted to listen to because I could tell by the way the label was. And that's the other thing that I could draw. I'm like calligraphy. I love writing, and I love the way words connect and how they look. And I like to slide into them. I have like 5 or 6 different handwritings. The ones that I'm comfortable with, or if the pen is different or the paper's different, I
Yeah.
literally write like another person. I've never had my handwriting analysis, but the way I look at it is just because I'm schizophrenic.
Hmm.
I just go from one thing to the other.
And you're a creative. That's what it is.
Yes.
It's a little,
I'll never settle into anything. I'm always ready to change it up.
yeah, I love it. That's pliable. And so how did you actually, and I'm getting ahead of myself too, so forgive me if I get to the point where I
No,
need to
no,
stop
no,
and
no,
check
no,
my
no.
notes, but how did you actually hone your craft once you got, you know, when you're just emulating records
Mhm.
and you have a natural talent, that's great. You had to have done something. I mean, you've reached a pinnacle of talent and in terms of singing,
Well,
man.
thank you. Well, all through grade school and high school, I was in contests, everything. I sang everything from Blue Moon to I'm gonna wash that man right out of my hair. I mean, I sang show tunes. I sang everything that there was. I just loved music back in the day. Um, and in school and stuff, people knew I could sing, so they were always asking me to sing something, and I was doing that. Um, but I think what really changed everything was one of my best friends in high school, Denars Cruda. He started a rock band. Now he's black and I'm black, and you know, black people don't do rock much, but he started this rock band, and he says, "Doug, you want to sing in it?" And I go, "I can't sing." Literally, I remember saying that because I never thought about doing it like that. I just sang. I got in the car and sang.
Right?
I'd walk to the house and sing.
Just never
But
thought of yourself on that
I
level.
never thought of that. And I thought, and he says, "Nah, come on, man." I go, "Okay." And I started singing in this band, and I don't know, we didn't last long, but after that, it was like people started asking me to sing in their bands. And around that time, I started playing bass. I was 23 and I started playing bass. I was late, but I wanted to play bass since I was 7. I was obsessed with bass. I'd walk through the house with a broom playing like I was playing bass.
Really? Not
Oh yeah,
guitar, but
I
bass.
could play bass before I could play bass. Okay, that's
You
the
could
first
scat.
thing I
You
listened.
use your scat skills with the
Oh
broomstick,
yeah,
right?
I did. It was funny. The bass thing. Anyway, I started learning how to play bass, and as I got better and got to be in a bands to play bass, I'd say, "Let's get a singer," and they go, "No, you sing," and I'm going, "Mm, I don't sing," and they go, "Yeah, you do," and it's just been that way ever since. To the point where when I started writing songs and the lyrics and everything, at that point, it was just I just kept doing it. It
Okay.
wasn't like I said, "I'm gonna do this." It was just it kind of morphed into that, and
And-
now it's a natural thing.
And the bass playing was the same way? You just kind of repped it? You picked it up and just, because you obviously had an ear.
Yeah.
And you have an ear. So
Y-
was it kind of just playing by ear and just learning it?
Yeah, it was because I knew what I heard in my head.
Yeah.
Because listening to bass my whole 20 years at that, or 23 years at that point.
Yeah.
So I knew what I wanted to play. Because I'd walk around the house listening to music, and finally, when I got a bass, I remember I played this song by Buddy Miles called Joe Tex. And the riff is do 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 do. And I remember taking the guitar, and my friend showed me how to tune it. And I sat down with my fingers and went, mm, mm, mm. And I went, mm, mm, mm. And could barely get, and I went,
That's the lick.
and I
Yeah.
remember I jumped out and almost knocked the bass on the ground. Like, I was like, "Oh my god." I was so happy, and then, I ended up getting a bass amp. I think a friend of mine loaned it to me or something. We lived in the projects. I still lived with my mom at that point, where I had moved back in. I was, like, 23 at that time, and I brought this amp in my bedroom in the projects and played it on 10 all day
Oh,
until
your
my mom
neighbors
came
loved
home.
you.
Oh,
your
well,
neighbor-
in the black neighborhood, you can do that. In the hood, you can make all the noise you want. That's
Yeah.
just the way we are.
And are you Native American as well?
Yeah. Well,
Part of-
basically, both my mom and dad are black, white, and Indian.
Okay.
My dad's mother was born on the Indian reservation. She was half black and half white, and his grandfather was half white and half black, who came over. His mother had relationships with the slave owner, the boat captain, I'm sorry.
Good
And
Lord.
so he was born from them, and his last name was Bates. The Bates family has an emblem that they're a part of the Bates people in England, the black family. They recognized the family, I was told, and gave them an emblem. And on my mom's side, her he always said he was Sioux Indian. We don't know what else he was. He had straight black hair, and he was really light skinned, and he looked like a gangster.
Yeah.
And I heard he was a pretty rough dude.
Yeah.
And my mom said he never did acknowledge her as his daughter, but she buried him. She was the only one around him in his last few years, and she buried him. But my mom's mother, well, my great grandma, who on that side, her mother was a half white and half black. She was a slave owner's daughter. And so between all that,
That's crazy. So
I'm more black than anything else. But
yeah. And I'm not trying to take away from that.
No.
but-
See, the funny thing is, because like I watched Little Richard going, I'm Jewish, and and the joke in the black community is, none of us are black. If you go to Africa and then come back to the United States and look at a black person, even in Africa, a friend of mine went to Africa. He's black. He's light skinned like me.
Yeah.
He went there to preach at this in the Congo somewhere, and the guy got up and said, "Now today we have a white man who will come and preach to you." And he goes, "White man? Who's that?"
Where's the white man?
But literally, I'm considered white in Africa.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, to that point, the reason why I ask is you've mentioned before, however, you were the only black kid, or at least at some point in your school.
Yeah,
And
great school.
And during that period of time too, you're, being Native American
Mhm.
as well. I mean, that's makes you even more unique.
Uh,
That may have made you feel lesser than that, but it should be even more interesting.
Yeah, well, I never thought about the Indian thing, hardly
Okay.
at all,
Okay.
ever, or anything other than, well, in my family, because we're so mixed, one of the funny things is we're always wondering what the kid's gonna look like. And I remember Megan or whatever her name is had married what's his face in England, the redhead guy,
Yeah.
what's his name?
Yeah.
And she was so upset because the family was wondering what the child would look like. And I'm going, that's what all black people do. We all wonder what it's going to look like. And we ask, I wonder what it's going to look like. The uncle who looks like he's white, or does he look like his grandpa going to look like he's
Yeah.
black? You know, you never know.
Yeah.
I mean, if you see a picture of my mom and my little brother Reggie's very dark, and my mother is as white-skinned as you are. She couldn't tan. She turned red in the sun you know,
Yep.
and she just hated that. And she hated being that white skin because she just felt not a part of the black community. And, you know, but, you know, so, and when she had Reggie, which was the last child, the nurse said, "Mother white, baby black," and my mother cussed her out.
Oh my
You
gosh.
know, it's because my mom just hated that. She hated it when people thought she was white. But yet she went to see Frank Sinatra one time back in the day, and I'm going, "You did?" She goes, "Yeah, I went by myself." And I'm thinking, wow, a black girl going to see Frank Sinatra. Right? I thought, oh, he thought she was white.
Maybe.
That's why she went by herself.
Yeah. So going through school, you mentioned that you didn't necessarily notice it. Was it any kind of struggle being the only black kid? I mean, population-wise,
It wasn't a struggle. All the kids treated me like I
Same.
was no problem.
even
ever.
in the 50s and 60s.
In the 50s and 60s especially,
Wow.
you know, and 70s. Actually, you know, I never had a problem with white people and me being black. Never once. In fact, more than once, I've been told, I don't know if this is a good or bad thing, but you're the whitest black guy I've ever met. And
I wouldn't know how to take that either.
That can be taken as an insult in two ways. One, it's because the worst thing I could be called in the black community is an Uncle Tom, a guy that acts like he's white and hangs out with white people.
Right.
So when white people say you're the whitest acting black person, I think, okay, I accept that. But here's the thing. I remember in high school, the testimony that was in high school was when it was very crucial of the 60s and we were separated.
Right.
You didn't hang out with white kids, black kids hang out with black. Nobody mingled. I had equal amount of friends on both sides, and I hung out with both of them and was never called an Uncle Tom. And I have to look back now, and it's just like they liked me. I had a good personality, and we all got along.
Yeah.
Nobody had nothing bad to say about me. And and I think that's what got me through. I didn't know that at the time. I just look back now and realize, well, how did you navigate that? But in grade school, I was the only black kid in my grade from first grade till seventh, and a black girl moved in eighth grade, and everybody thought we would date, and we hated each other because of it. Yeah, and the only problems I ever had, and I never thought it was a problem, I was just used to it because I was told that there are certain things that black people are not allowed.
Just the
And
stigma.
you just accepted it. And one was, I remember this little girl, I used to really liked her, not as a girlfriend, I didn't know anything about that, but we got along, we talked and hung out. So I'd go by her house on the way home from school and hang out for a while and then go home. And then one day she came to the door and said, "My mommy says you can't come by anymore." And I'm thinking, well, she doesn't want this little black boy hanging out with her little white daughter. We're like 8 years old, you know, and so I didn't realize that, but I just went, okay, because I was used to being rejected.
Yeah.
Anytime somebody said anything negative, I'm okay.
Accepted
I
it.
believed it. You know,
Yeah.
my great grandmother, I'd say, "Grandma, can I go over to my cousin's house?" And you know, her grandchildren are at relatives down the street. "Can I go play with them?" And she'd go, "Only for 15 minutes. They don't want to be bothered with you." She always said that. So I have a hard time staying at anybody's house more than a half hour, 45 minutes. After an hour, I feel like I got to go. I literally do. I have to fight it and stay longer just to have a good time and get in a good conversation. But sooner or later, it's that thing. It's go, go, go. They're tired of you.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, and when you look back and you get layers and layers and layers and layers, and we all have them. I had to face them, and I'm still facing them, and that's what's blowing my mind. And the more you face them, and the more you see them, and the more freedom you get, the more exciting I get at the possibilities of learning more and getting better, even though it's hard. It is the hardest thing. There were times when I would just sit there and look at the floor and go, so that's why I'm like that. Okay. So how do I deal with that? And then you start going back. Why did you, what caused that?
It's almost more valuable because it's hard,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah, it's
I mean,
way more valuable. Now when I look back on my whole life, I wouldn't change anything. And the only reason is because I'm okay now.
right.
I could go back and go, if I did this or this had happened, or what if I had a mom and dad who treated me different, or what if I had this, or what if I had a whole house full of instruments, would I have turned out like Prince, or whatever, it's like you go through all these things, and at the end of the day, you go, no, I am exactly right here where I'm supposed to be, because this is what the universe wants.
Yeah.
And this is what I've projected from the day I was born.
Even the bad stuff
That's
is
the point.
valuable.
How do you get there unless you go through the bad stuff?
Right.
And now I'm learning things that come at me now that I have a problem with, immediately go in and go, why are you having this problem with this person? And why do you feel this way? And immediately I can go back to myself and go, oh, then I stop and go, let that person be themselves. Give them the freedom to be themselves and not be annoyed at them, because it has nothing to do with you. And the only reason you're annoyed with them is because you got a problem.
That's great
So
self-awareness.
fix that fucking problem.
Yeah.
And the first time that happened, I'm going, whoa, I'm healed. And then all of a sudden happens again. All of a sudden they keep coming. And the more they come, the more of the habit starts to come in, where it's easier to let them be themselves and to back up and stop feeling like you're the center of, what's the word for it? Patheticness.
Yeah. Yeah. Center of negativity. And
Right.
that's the way. Yeah, man, I wish we could all learn more from that too. I mean, and that's the other benefit of you overcoming those things. Wherever the epiphany happens, you're now a teacher to others, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
Just you're living and doing what you're doing is a fantastic example to other people, similar to the people that gave testimonies to your music.
Yeah.
All that music too would be less intense without that growl inside your heart when you wrote it, right?
Yeah. You were saying something about singing back I remember you were asking why I sing, and I remember years and years ago, in my teens, maybe 20s, when I opened my mouth up, I felt a release. Um, Especially when I started learning how to sing soulful. It's like I listened to all kinds of music, but I still sang like a little choir boy with no vibrato, no inflection. I really did. I just had this perfect little voice. I could go do stuff like that all the time. And could be in the boys' glee club kind of thing. But I was about 16, and I was walking through the house singing along with James Brown. And I always wanted vibrato in my voice. And I just did not know how to do it. And I tripped. Didn't fall, but I tripped, and my voice went, and I went, that's how they do it. And from that point on, the vibrato came, and then it helped me. And then when I moved in with my mother, she went to this really rock and gospel church, and they had this choir that really fucking rocked hard. And they had singers that were like, people would sing so emotional that people would have to run out of the church screaming and yelling. It was so emotional.
Intense.
And I sat and watched those people just destroy us emotionally with their words. And I learned, and I got one solo. I was so nervous I could barely sing. So people used to go, oh, you must have been the guy at church. And I'm going, no, I was that little guy watching everybody. And I learned from everybody how to give it to a crowd. And I do it.
Yeah, the projection in those churches.
People say there's so much passion. Well, it's a learned behavior. But the passion is because I feel free when I do it. It's back then, especially. I don't know how I feel now, but back then, as soon as I opened up my mouth, the room was full, and there's this voice, and it gave me comfort. It was like somebody's listening to me. I had to yell it, but
Yeah.
they're listening, and it gave me like, it's like that child in the bassinet screaming and yelling, wanting mommy to come and give him a bottle, and nobody shows up. That's how I felt when I sang all the
Your
time.
own vocal pacifier at that point.
It was. Now, since I can't sing like I used to, and now I look back and go, oh my God, I didn't realize I could do that. I was too busy hating on it. Now that I can't do it, I realize what I had, and it's frustrating because I can't do it anymore. So now the cool thing is I'm relearning how to sing from a different place vocally.
Yeah.
I had thought that I had got to a point where I said, well, maybe I should just stop singing because I can't do it over my head anymore. And that's what people want to hear.
Right.
But in the last 5 years, I just said, no, sing the way you feel. It don't matter. They love you. And if they don't, they can listen to the old stuff.
Yeah.
You can't recreate. So, it was really helpful for me to just give it that up too. This whole new era I feel like I'm going through is somebody said in this thing I saw, it said your best years are your 70s. And I didn't understand that. And when you go chronologically every 10 years, I see it now.
Yeah.
And it's just awesome. I can't wait for the rest of the 5 more years. And when I turn 80, that's another 10 years of what am I going to do? It's like I don't worry about it anymore, but I go, I'm going to be out there doing something.
Yeah.
There's just I can't sit and do nothing. And I'm kind of excited about living more and more now. And my aunt, one of my aunts died, my great aunt actually, Aunt Martha, she died at 106. My family, they lived pretty long on my mom's side. Most of them.
Yeah.
My uncle Mud Meredith, he died at 96, and my great uncle uh, Herb, Uncle Herb died at 94. And they all get way up there. And so I know that I have a longevity thing in both my mom and dad's family. And there's this youth thing that none of us really look as old as we are. Nobody in neither side of my family does.
Yeah.
And so I have done the tests and stuff, the physical tests, and my body's way younger than it in its age. And I've learned since I was 20, I guess, to pay attention to my body and only put in it what's good, and learn everything I do to my body, learn how to make it stronger and better always. And I've lived it my whole life that way. And so, I feel like I'm 27 years old, literally. Can run up the stairs. I do my 30 push-ups and pull-ups, and it's like it's just endless. I tire out quicker now. But as for like I remember running out to get a package in my yard, and I'm thinking, dude, I'm 75 years old, and I'm running like I'm at a football game.
That's
And
awesome.
my heart ain't beating hard. And so now I look at it and go, wow, it makes me happy. And I just want to tell, especially young people, start working on it now, and you can have a good life.
Yeah.
Because I've never been overweight. I've never had a real problem, never an issue. Even at 75 years old, I don't have any problems. I have a slightly high blood pressure, which is normal. And when I smoke weed, it goes down. So
Yeah.
other than that, there's nothing. And I'm watching people my age die.
Yep.
I was going to say is just lose things and things that happen, but I'm going, and I just sit there and go, my goodness, I just wish there was a way for people to to get the information they need without having to literally change their whole life just to find the information. Does that make sense? My point is, the world, especially the United States, media, whatever, has made it so hard for us to sit down and be silent and tend to ourselves.
That's for sure.
And it's to a point now where ain't nobody got time for nothing.
Yeah.
Um,
And finding something to keep you physically fit is almost an oversaturation because you've got this saying it's great, this saying it's not great, and it's almost like a giant research
and
project.
then people go out and they just, okay, take this, and they're taking it and they're getting sick. And then I go, no, if you take that and that, they counteract each other. And if you got to take that, and that will bloat you if you take it in the morning, you know? And you got to be a fucking pharmacist nowadays, literally, because it's all such lies. I mean, stevia, let's just go down that for a minute. I use stevia because it's the only thing I found that doesn't spike your blood sugar or hurt you at all through the years of research, and I keep looking at it. It's okay. But what I found out was dextromaltose is one molecule under sugar. So they call it something else. They name it something else,
Something that's
and it's
not
a
a carb.
filler. Yeah, and they use it as a filler so that your stevia can flow better, and it spikes your blood sugar 10 times more than sugar.
Oh.
Okay, that is just so. Somebody goes to the store, they go, Splenda or stevia. This is healthy,
I'm trying to make a good choice.
and what's it doing? It's fucking killing them.
Yeah.
What do you do? What I just sit at home going, you know, if I just stood up and screamed and yelled what I really see, I'll be killed.
That's possible.
And speaking of that, that's true.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck who you are or what you believe. If you can't speak what you believe without being killed or censored, this is not my America anymore. And I'm not siding any sides.
Yep.
At all. It's like, I'm going, my God.
Yeah, well, we're hearing every day from the extremes. That's the problem. I think most of us are still in the middle, whether you're right or left. There's always a conversation that should be had in a mature manner. Most of us are there, but we're not sensational.
Right.
So why put us in the front of the paper?
You are so right about that. I really do believe that 10% left and 10% right and everybody else kind of sensible.
Yeah.
Let's figure this out.
Yeah.
And yes, the media does that to keep us divided.
You know, it's not intentional though. I mean, the media does what we support. You know, so that if they put me on there saying, "Hey, it's actually cool. I understand some of what he's saying. I disagree a little bit here, but this, I mean, nobody's going to watch it," and they go out of business, and then the next media company moves in.
That's true.
So we kind of purport it too a little bit.
The thing that I see in America, what they've done to us was, from Apple to everybody, they've made us sign an agreement that we'll put up with your bullshit if you just feed us. And that's pretty much the way I see it now. It's like, as long as I can go to Kellogg and work and pay to take care of my kids, you can do this despicable thing to humanity, and I'll have to turn my head. And I'll vote for that congressman who gets money from you, who's putting poison in my food, because I feel helpless. I'm just a dog with a chain.
And now you're seeing AI creep into kids' education, where they just had a thing about kids. They're kind of moving away from making them write their 5-paragraph themes and stuff because they have such difficulty figuring out if they wrote it or if AI wrote it, and they were letting them double check it, and AI might give them a suggestion and everything. And at some point, they're not going to be thinking for themselves because they only need to type it in or speak it, and it's going to come out. And I think that's buying into that, what you're saying, to the nth degree, because
and it's already
people
happening.
are thinking less and less for themselves. At this point.
And it's already happening. I mean, ask a kid where Chicago is. Ask a kid where the United States is on a map. Ask them which way is north or south.
Yeah.
They just don't know. Ask them where a banana comes from. You know, I mean, they just, Look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me. Do I look like?
Mm-hmm.
And that's another thing I struggle with is like I have to be on social media. It's a part of my career.
Sure.
And it's just like the hardest thing for me is to throw myself out there. It's like
Absolutely.
I don't care.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I don't look and see how many likes I got or anything. I'll read a couple posts and they're all great and they're encouraging and I'm thankful and I'll even tell them thanks. But I just got to keep doing what I do.
Do
It's
you?
like it's like you want people to love what you do and like what you do, but you don't need it. But it's great to have it because it keeps you doing what you do. But
Right.
it doesn't affect the quality or what you're doing. And that's a place where I had to get. It took me a long time to get there.
Yep.
You know,
Because it's not all positive.
right?
It makes me wonder how this is just a hypothetical, but
Mhm.
how you would have handled social media as a teenager with all the struggles that you had at that time. How do you think it would have helped you or hurt you back in the day?
I think it would have hurt me because I would have believed everything they said negative about me, especially if I got any kind of any kind of recognition.
Yeah.
I mean, even now, it's like if King's X had blown up, like when everybody says Goldilocks was our hit. Well, if we had had that hit like Jeremy with Pearl Jam or something,
Mhm.
oh my God, I don't know who I'd be right now. Because at that point, I didn't know who I was. I listened to anybody, believed anybody, let anybody gaslight me, use me, abuse me, tell me out, drag me by a chain. And, it's that whole thing of I just want to be liked, so I'll be whatever you want me to be. I
Yeah.
didn't even know who I was, and I watched so many people in my life come into my life and do that to me, even make me feel
Wow.
like a piece of shit, or just just undercover, just use me and not even knowing it because I'm a nice guy. I will give you the shirt off my back. I've always done that, but people know that. Many people have done that maliciously.
Right.
And when realized that, I'm going, my goodness. And then I go, well, I let him. I was the one who opened that door up and said it.
Yeah, but
I
part of
was
that,
the one who didn't say no.
yeah, and
And so I blame no one. The universe brought them to my life to show me that I was casting pearls before swine.
yeah, you took the lesson with you.
That's
And in your defense, if I may defend
hmm
you, you can at least look back and say, look, there were the right people and the wrong people that I all gave my shirt to.
Oh yeah.
But you would rather be that guy than the guy that shut everybody out because they were afraid the wrong people were coming in disguise.
Right. And what I've learned is that I'm selective now. I know if you're good or not good. There's
Well, yeah.
signs you can tell,
You're a lot smarter now in
And
your old
oh
age,
yeah,
right?
we know better. And that's what you have to learn. It's like you don't change. You don't shut everybody out. You just be more discerning, be
Adapt.
more smart.
Right.
It's like you're gambling. You're going into business with something. You don't just write your life away. You just come back up and go, hey man, wait a minute. I'm not going to tell you every little thing about my life. I don't know you. And you're still not going to know it because one day you might get mad at me and go tell everybody my biggest secret.
Yeah.
It's like you have to protect yourself, not in a bad way, but just know that people will always let you down. And they will, because I'll let people down, and I have let people down, and I
Yeah.
beat myself up over it. A lot of times, just in my younger days, especially in my arrogance, I would say, and I wish I could find some of these people and apologize to them. But as my life became the rock star thing started happening back in the early '90s, and everybody was pulling me left and right, and I didn't know who my friend was, who wasn't, but I was just out there doing my thing.
Yeah.
My circle got bigger, and the people that were in my circle in the beginning got pushed out, and I
Mhm.
didn't notice it till years later.
Interesting.
And some have never talked to me, but they're not in my life. And I wake up and go, I remember why that person doesn't come around now. We were going to hang out, and I had to take off with the band, and they drove all the way to see me, and I just gave them a hug and laughed. And I'm thinking, dude, it's like you're not the greatest, because that's the thing is we know we're a piece of shit, but we won't admit it. We just walk around like, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. And one day you wake up and go, no, I've been shitty to people too.
Yeah.
And so I humble myself and go, okay, we're all shitty people.
Yeah. And what's beautiful is the same. You, at what point do you decide you're going to you either can believe in people and learn to trust again
Yes.
when you've been smoked,
Mm-hmm.
or you don't.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just such a kind and generous person that I can already tell that you've reinvested into people.
Oh, yeah.
Even though you understand. That's why I think the discernment, that word that you used, is perfect, because you just got to be more careful, because obviously the bigger and better you get, the smaller your circle should get,
Right.
not the bigger your circle should get, right?
True.
But who knows when they're young? And that's
We
the
didn't
beautiful
know.
thing.
We were just, come on, hang out. That's it, And, I call them, there's so many decades of people I hung out with. And, every one of them I love. Every one of them we have history.
Yeah.
Every one of them, when I run into them, they'll tell me a story about something that we did together, which was, a friend of mine said, dude, you took me to see The Cure. And I'm going, oh, yeah, because I remember going to see them. I took you. And he goes, yeah, man. I was 16 and I couldn't go. And my mom said, why don't you take, And I took him. And he said, I'll never forget that. Doug, that was the greatest day of my life. He told me that a year ago. Or
Awesome.
no, a few weeks ago, actually. I'm going, oh, wow. And all those kind of things it was always a good time to hang out. I had access. I knew everybody. Everybody loved Doug. So I'd bring everybody. We hang out and have a good time, you know? And it's always been that way, Not to, because, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying bad about anybody. I've just learned how to hold my ground and give myself respect. Because everybody, I got respect, is from the like I'm saying before, outside I'm good.
Yeah.
It's this guy in here that repels all that he should embrace and then be more authentic. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. It's just the self-awareness is everything.
Yeah.
And that makes, how are you going to stand your ground if you don't have self-confidence to know why you even should do that, right?
Truth.
So to the King's X story, without going all the way back.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, cheers. You guys got started in 80, 79, 80?
I met Jerry, I think, in 79. I think we officially started in 1980.
So you guys came together, and you'd come from kind of, speaking of extreme, kind of an extremely religious background. The other guys were also involved in that kind of stuff. And I understand you made somewhat of a conscious decision to move away from the Christian music label.
Yeah.
Was that from the get? Or
right.
Was that later?
Well, no. Between 20 and 30, I had a Christian band called Servant. Somewhere in between there. Not exactly that long, but the timing is somewhere in there. And we kind of sounded like Yes in Kansas, very prog. I wrote all the songs except two, and they're all about Jesus, being saved. You're lost. You need to find the Lord, and all this kind of just your basic Christian
single topic
lyrics that you had to those were the things you had to do in Christian rock back then. You couldn't go outside that box. So I did that, and then I joined up with Phil Keaggy, who was this huge Christian rock guitar player, and met Jerry in that band with a guy named Greg Voles, who played in a band called Petra, which was a huge Christian band at the time. And we toured, Jerry and I, as Phil's rhythm section for a year or so. I can't remember. It wasn't really long, but it was enough to get behind the scenes, to be a part of the music scene, Christian music scene. And there was a couple things that happened. We played at Heritage Farm, which Bill Tammy Baker's place.
Yeah.
Which, playing that, we saw the opulence of that branch of Christianity. That's the best way I could say
the cash cow.
And we played with Morgan Cryer, who was a Christian singer at the time. We were his rock band at that time, and we played on the TV show. And I remember leaving, all three of us leaving, going, I don't want to be a part of this. This is not real.
Yeah.
All we could think of was when Jesus went into the saw the money changers in front of the temple and just destroyed it. That's how we felt. We were like, and so then after that, or was it before that? I think maybe a little bit before that, we were playing with Phil Keaggy, and we did this huge Christian festival, Oral Roberts University. It's a big deal,
Yep.
on PTL, all that
Back
stuff.
then, for sure.
Yes, and we played with those humongous bands, the Imperials and Andre Crouch and people like that. And I remember as a young Christian who, for me, I took it seriously. I didn't cuss, I didn't drink, I didn't do anything like I was told.
Mhm.
Little did I know everybody else was, not let me know, but I literally wasn't doing anything. And I was backstage, and I remember one guy was back there smoking cigarettes and saying fuck and shit and stuff like that. And I'm thinking, I got his records. And then there was one guy, Andre Crouch. He's sitting there. He's like one of my favorite singers ever in the Christian world. I knew all his songs. I could stand up and sing them note for note. Great singer. He was on in like 5 minutes, and he was sitting there having this conversation with somebody, and I'm standing there going, wow, that's Andre Crouch. Wow. And his manager, somebody came up to him and said, Andre, you're on in 5 minutes. Like, and Andre goes, and then he started talking to this guy again. And I thought, who is this? And at that point, m- the veil dropped, and all I saw was a bunch of masks and bullshit.
Mhm.
Whether they believe in God or not, I just saw a bunch of narcissists feeding off of poor, innocent people that believe in what they're saying.
Yeah.
And at that point, when Ty and Jerry and I got together to play, I said, look, I feel like this ain't what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to be a rock band, go out and do what we do.
Yeah.
We can still be Christians.
Yeah. And
Let's do what we do. And we did.
so, do you feel like the stigma stayed with the band after that?
Oh, yeah.
Because even, my first discovery of you, I
Yeah.
was, that was part of your story around that time.
Well, what happened was when U2 came out, Bono was singing. He was singing about how he felt about his faith, not dogma. And that moved me because there was honesty there. Because I never felt honest. I didn't feel like I was lying, but I was just this Christian who was told, you got to say this, do this, and act this way, or else you're not a Christian.
Yeah.
And so I did that. And Bono, I'm going, well, he's doing rock music. He says, fuck, they're smoking cigarettes, but yet he's speaking honest to me. And at that point, I went, wow. And that's what I wanted to do. So I immediately changed my lyrics. I thought I changed them. They were still preachy, but compared to what I used to write, I didn't think they were.
And
So
what
the
record are
first,
you talking? What transition time
this
is?
was Gretchen and Out of Sound of Planet and Faith, Hope, Love. Those three records, I really was working hard at just trying to be universal at what I believed and felt and not try to be pushy. But I look back now and go, yeah, he was a Christian. And I don't look back and say, oh, I just go, well, that was a part of it. And that's what the appeal was to so many people.
Well, it was you too. I mean,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I said, you want to be
And
honest.
so
That's honest.
that was a part of the journey.
Yeah.
So what happened after that was around 94, I think it was, I had been letting everything get to me, all the shame, all the hatred for myself, all that kind of crap going on. And I had built this wall around me that I just couldn't get out of anymore. It was like I just hated my life. All I wanted to do was die, and I was too afraid to kill myself. I knew I'll never kill myself. To me, that's the most stupidest thing anybody could ever do. And then I go, I've never been that desperate to have to kill myself to end the pain that I'm in. I go, so I'm going to be empathetic towards people that kill themselves and say, I don't understand,
Yeah.
but I know I can't.
Yeah.
And the Bible, there was a scripture in the Bible, because I was going to a church at that time, and I was always reading my Bible, and it said, God makes vessels for destruction and vessels for his glory. And at that point, I had convinced myself God made me for his destruction. You know, I'm gay, I'm black, not black, I'm gay I grew up as a black person in a white culture where I was oppressed.
Yeah.
I didn't know either my father or my mother. I don't remember a Christmas until I moved in with my mother, or a birthday party. I don't remember anything.
And that was your
Everything was
teen
blocked
years.
out. And plus, I was abducted by an alien, and that's a whole nother story I'll tell you about later.
Ooh.
That was 3. That's another story. Everybody, but anyway, so where was I at? Oh, okay. So the point was, I guess, I went for a walk one day and laid on this bridge in Houston, and I looked up in the sky and said, okay, God, I guess you made me for a vessel of destruction. I get it. So I'm just gonna die and go to hell, because that's why you made me. And I started crying. And then I remember quickly, I wiped my tears and went, well, I give up. And I remember I walked back to my apartment and laid down and got very scared and thought, oh, no, what have I done? What have I done? And so I kind of, all that was swirling inside. And I would say maybe 5 years of deprogramming myself, to the point now where I go, I don't know what's responsible for all of this, but I respect it, and I want to, and I'm a part of it. And now I'm okay with that. And anything else, I don't want to hear it, because
Yeah.
it ain't real.
It's part of your story. And
It's
again,
my
we're
sto-
all learning
it's
from it. I'm certainly learning a lot
it's
from
my
it.
story. And when I was abducted, that's the thing about why that helped me to see, because the abduction happened when I was around 3. But when I was around 40, I was watching this ancient aliens kind of thing, or alien thing, and they talked about the 4 aliens that people said that they've been abducted by. There's 4 common aliens that, if you go down the whole history, the rabbit hole of that,
Yeah.
there's 4 of them, and they showed drawings of them, and the one called the Nord was the one that came to my bed. Tall and skinny. He was white. He had long white hair, and he had a white robe on up to his knee, and he had these sandals, and they tie it all the way up. And I remember I'm walking, and he's holding my hand, and my hand is up like this. So either he was tall or I was little.
Right.
And I remember going up. I remember we went out the back door of my grandma's house, and all of a sudden it was really bright out. And all I could think was, is it noon? Is it daytime? And next thing I remember, I was in my mom's lap crying. Now, my mother was thrown out when I was around 3.
Right.
So, and she said she remembers me coming out of my bedroom, and she said I was crying, and she picked me up. And I remember looking over at the door, and it was dark outside. And that's all I remember. Okay, then when I'm 40, I see this picture of a note. I'm going, well, maybe it was real.
Yeah.
Then, about a year ago, since the Blue Book has opened up the files of alien abductions,
All right.
there's this lady that went through the whole book, and so she pulled up a bunch of firsthand accounts of people who remembered. And she talked to this one lady, and what happened to this lady was she went up to the spaceship, and they put her on a thing, and she laid down, and she couldn't move. She was paralyzed, and she was scared. And the alien said to her mentally, don't be afraid, I won't hurt you. And she said, why am I here? And he said, because we have to take your essence out of you and put you in another body. And she goes and she looks to her side, and she sees a whole row of bodies that look just like her. And she looks back and says, what is that? He says, we've been cloning you since you've been born. He said, we have to take your soul and put it in another body. And she goes, why? He said, because you have rheumatic fever. And she says, well, what does that mean? And he didn't tell her. And then she said she came back. I had rheumatic fever when I was 3. I remember laying on the doctor's bench, I remember laying on a bench with these things on me, and it was like it was an electrocardiogram test, they were
Yeah.
told, laying there on this slab, and I was, they could barely hold me down. I was so afraid. But just thinking about that, that's kind of what kind of happened to me when I was abducted, I would think, because of what she said. So, dude, but even to say that brought back something else. I've been going back into my childhood to find out all these things and
Yeah.
why this and this and this.
Yeah.
And but since that point, I've never felt alone. I've always felt like there was somebody watching me. I've always felt like there's something protecting me. And there's always something telling me not to do something, go this way or that way. Didn't save my life when I find out. Um, and what I've learned lately is just who we are, and then we have those senses. Back in the day, I tried to blame it on something, or blame it on God, or blame it on the devil, or blame it on whatever.
Yeah.
The devil to me is just my shadow, and I gotta shake him up a little bit and let him be okay and say, hey man, you can protect me, but don't be mad at people.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, I mean, it's just, I've been learning that it's so much inside us that is our problem. And, I just gotta, you know, I, it's so weird because a lot of this stuff I'm just coming into, and the last thing I wanted to do was go spew and tell everybody. I just felt like maybe you should just learn through this for a while and just, but I'm here. So I'm not going to argue with the universe.
Come on.
All right.
Well, good. Well, I'm glad you're here telling that. That's an incredible story. And as a footnote, I've heard you say before, unrelated to the alien story,
Mhm.
is that you have keen memories, very specific memories
Mhm.
at as early as 3.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's worth noting that you have
Oh,
other
I did.
memories besides
Oh,
that,
yeah.
so that somebody might not
That's
just associate
true.
that with
Because
some.
somebody said, well, maybe you believed it. But I remember crawling on the floor at 1.5 because it was my grandpa's funeral. And my grandpa, as far as I remember, was the only person that really picked me up and just spent time with me. And there was this, and I always wondered why I felt a loss in my life, my whole life. And I think that might have been
Hmm.
a reason. But I remember I mentioned it to my mom, and she said, yeah, she said, I used to crawl into the dining room and look up at the rocking chair because Pa had passed, my great grandpa. And she said, you just look around like, where's he at? And I was 1.5 when he died.
That's
And I
incredible.
remember crawling on the floor looking. I remember my Aunt Selena's walls were green. And I looked around and I saw all these feet. And I'm crawling along in these pants and nylons. There's this one woman had nylons and you could see her legs.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't know what nylons were, legs or shoes, but I
Right.
just remember seeing that.
Yeah.
And they were all dressed up, really proper, sitting there.
That's pretty incredible. That I mean,
Right.
most people don't remember anything till they're
Mhm.
4.
Oh, wow.
But I think a lot of the impressions are
Mhm.
there. You're influenced, but it's hard for me to remember.
One thing I thought, because, I think my brain runs 100 miles an hour all day long thinking, why? But reason why I remember a lot of things, I think, is because in my life, there was really kind of after my mom was gone and there was just a house full of people that they just let me be me, and sooner or later they all left and I was just there. And I never spent time with people or anything. So when something out of the ordinary happened, I always remembered it. It's like life was just like I'm in my room, just sitting there playing, drawing pictures, or I used to make record players out of cardboard and play like I was making a record. I was always obsessed with music.
Awesome.
Even though there was no music in the house, I'd sit there and sing the record, Genie, 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 won't you come along, and move the needle over
Love
and
it.
keep moving, but I could never finish the song because I had ADD. I'd be on the other side of my bedroom playing, doing something else. I'd go, oh, I got to finish the song. And I'd run back and I never could finish it. And to this day, I can't finish things like that. It's
Yeah.
like I would just lose my train of thought to the point now where I can be writing a song or putting a bass track down in the middle of it, forget, and start thinking about I got to water the lawn. I'm going,
Man, I relate to that. And is that why you have so many songs that I heard you're going to go back and maybe knock out some? I'm the same way.
Oh,
I've got,
yeah.
if I am getting writer's block, I'll just go back to my Dropbox and start pulling out stuff that I did 3 years ago. I'm like, why did I stop writing that?
That's true. Well, I just finished my new record, and I got a couple more tweaks, and I listened to it this morning before I came over. I just decided to wake and bake and give it I said, this might be the last time you listen to it where it means something to you. So,
Yeah.
so I played the whole thing, and I really, really am happy with it. And I realized I got about 30 more songs that I still got to put lyrics on. So I'm going to finish up with this one, then I'm going to go back and pull some more out. But then I go, no, because every day you learn something new about life and the way you feel. You can keep on writing new songs,
Yeah.
and
It'll have another.
new genres and
Yeah.
I want to reach out and do some other types of just branch out a little bit more in the dUg vein of music, because I realize now that, yeah, you can tell that's me. There's a quirky way I write and play, and I
Yeah.
get it now. It's like, I didn't want to admit it.
But that's great. I mean,
Yeah.
this is why people are like, hey, you can tell it's Hendrix because you
Yeah.
can tell it's Hendrix.
That's
You can
true.
tell it's Van Halen. You can tell, when you have a signature sound, you have a signature sound. That should be something to be proud of.
Yeah, that's true.
And if you bring in a different genre or a different whatever and just went
Mhm.
into a complete left field, it would be even more appreciable that part of you was still recognizable.
Truth.
That's kind of the beauty of it, I think,
Truth.
for what that's worth.
Truth. You
So
are right.
So one of my questions was, how do you actually write? What's your process versus writing with a band or versus doing like a collab or
Okay, I've
something?
always started out with a riff. Even when the first song I ever wrote, I was 18, and I made up a guitar riff. And then I would, back when I was 18, I was into Sly and the Family Stone and brass. So I would make up these horn parts. Dun, 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 dun. And then I get on the keyboard and start making up. And I really couldn't play any of the instruments, but I knew what I wanted to hear. And I could get to the instrument and play and say, this is what I want you to do.
Uh-huh.
And they'd play it.
Yeah.
I go, play this, just play it faster.
Play it better.
Yeah, and they do it. And that's how it all started out. But then, and even in Servant in the 70s, we had a keyboard player too. So I would go to the rehearsal room and get in the keyboards or grab the guitarist guitar and play it upside down and just make up chords. But I was always writing a song. And I always writing poetry. My mother is a poet. She always wrote stuff. So that's
Okay.
where I got that from, I think. But I was always writing, trying to make things rhyme. And the word is, like I said before, wanting to be understood. I was always just thinking about how I felt. And but then after that, when I got with King's X, it was just guitars. The first band I ever played with without keyboards.
Mhm.
And I got a guitar, actually. I bought a guitar and strung it left-handed, and I got a little 4-track reel and just started writing songs. There's these drum drops, this record player this record that had like 10 different types of drum beats. And I just wrote everything with them and recorded them. And then I'd primitively write these songs and then say, Jerry and Ty, hey, check these out. And they'd play them, and put their 2 cents to them because, they were
You kind
just,
of jam in the room to them a little bit
they would work them out, and we'd
together.
Right.
Okay.
Well, after I'd write the song.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I'd play it.
But I mean,
for 'em. Yeah.
this is you have to understand. This is passé now. I
Yeah.
mean, everybody in the room writing is
Oh, yeah.
a thing of the past.
Yeah, nobody does that. Yeah,
Yeah.
we get together. We still do. It's like, yeah, we're going to, knock this up because it's
Yeah.
all about the nuance and the feelings,
Right.
know. And then after that, now it's like basically to make a longer story short, what I'm going to write now, it's like Superior Drummer is like, you can barely tell the difference if
Yep.
there is any.
Yep.
And for the last, this record, which is 3, I've used Superior Drummer. And so I sit down and just pull up a beat and get a groove going and sit there and play it and grab my guitar and just close my eyes and lock into some kind of nuantic riff with some
Yeah.
kind of nuance, some kind of kick, some kind of twist to it, some Dugified
Yeah.
riff, the way I do it, whatever it is, it's sliding into it, just trying to make it a voice. And so I'll work on the guitar part for a while and just keep going till it makes sense and I can play it because I'm not a real guitar player. And when I get that down, then I'll record it, and then I'll, the bass is the last thing before the vocals, because when it comes to the bass, it's like, that's easy.
That's the
Okay,
easy part.
song's done. What are you going to
Yeah.
put on it?
Yeah.
It's like,
A lot of
what-
people would think that was first, but
No,
I'm the
no,
same
no,
way, too,
because
yeah.
what happens when I play bass first, there's nowhere to go. It's sort of like listening to Red Hot Chili Peppers. You got this amazing bass that's so badass that all you can do is go, you know, and I'm going, no, I don't want to do that. I want to come up with this badass bass lick, and then nobody's got nowhere to go.
Yeah.
So I come up with some, you know, guitar parts, drum licks, drum parts, and stuff like that. Just something that I like that has this, makes me want to get up and dance. And I just relay the bass on it to make it, to me, sound more original.
Yeah.
Because, you know, there's nothing new. You know, we got the same beats, we got the same guitar chords, nothing's new. But one thing I've learned with the bass is, a voice that you can weave in and out of the song and give people space, and then take up space and dictate the vibe of the song. And I do believe that that is a art that's kind of missing these days in music. I mean, it's sad, but we're all the bass players. There's just not enough music that features bass playing band people. You know, we got Victor Wooten, and we got, you know, all those people that can do a lot of stuff. But there's few of us that can just lay back in the pocket.
Right.
And you go away going, now that had some stank to it.
Yeah.
You know,
and have it be sort of prominent.
right.
I mean, because
you
that's
have
what
to be prominent.
and back when you were learning those bass line in the 50s, I mean, they were
Bass
doing
was
a lot.
prominent.
Yeah. And it was a lot of acoustic bass and stuff too. You can hear it. It's all very separated and
Yeah.
band. And
I was watching something last night. Yeah, Lawrence Welk. This whole history of him. You need to watch it. It is mind blowing. It was so good.
I'd love to.
It opened my eyes up so much to the struggle that Black people have gone through, and the magnitude of what he did in the music industry, especially for Black people. When you see that, you're just gonna go, "Oh my God!" More people need to know about Lawrence Welk.
Where is it show?
It's on
Netflix or something?
Netflix.
Okay.
Yeah. And what was my point? There was a point I was going.
It's probably my fault, but you were saying you add the bass to the end because you already have the riff and
Yes,
everything else.
yes.
And
Okay. Oh yeah, we're talking about bass lifts. Oh, I was watching that last night, and on one of the shows there was some rock band on there. Oh, Ike and Tina Turner, and the riff was Sly and the Family Stone. But coming out of the speakers live, it was bass heavy. You could hear it was like pushing, pumping, and the rest of the band was playing, but the bass is like giving the band a feel. I'm going, I remember that now, to the point where the bass is going to be a bit heavy on my new record now.
oh, what a shame.
Oh, but yeah, it was. I mean, it's a new era now. You know, I made a joke one time. Somebody said, "Where have all the bass players gone?" I said, "They got 8-string guitars, and now they call it gent."
Yes.
And it's some badass stuff too.
Yeah. It's something else.
It's like 3 bass players playing the baddest grooves you ever heard, mathematically mind-boggling, and I love
Yeah.
that stuff. And I, you know, I try to incorporate that shit into what I do too.
I can't wait to hear it. I'm super stoked that you're
Good.
still writing, and I hope that you don't. I love that you're going to keep working on the vocals and stuff too, and just buy into where you're at,
Oh yeah.
and just say, "Look, this is me right now," and just go with it. It's
Mhm.
fine. I'm curious, especially since you brought up Superior Drummer. There's always the conversation about how much AI can be leveraged before you're cheating and blah 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 blah. But now my big concern is for the upcoming musicians that are entering the industry,
Mhm.
and you've got guys now that that you literally can't tell. I mean, I've been sent files that are like,
Oh,
"Hey, check
yeah.
this out. This is AI," and it sounds
yeah.
great. But the first time the other day, I got surprised by something that just popped up on YouTube,
Mhm.
and it was tagged like 70s prog or something. So I'm
Right.
like, "Oh, check that out." And the guy starts singing, and I'm like, there is no freaking way I've never heard of this singer, because he
Yep.
was badass.
Mhm.
He was hitting high notes that would fall a little flat a little bit at the end. Stuff. It sounded real.
All the singers are amazing. I've listened to so many of those songs. Even our manager has an app, and he did a couple songs which were like completely amazing. I can cuss on here, can I? Can
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. One of our techs said, "Put this in there and see what it writes." And he said, "My dad fucked your dad. My dad liked it, and your dad thought it was gay." he put it in there, and it came up with this. It's a #1 hit. It's PG. It has this Lonesome Dove type vibe. This girl with this fucking great country voice singing it. And it's just that down with the, I
It
mean,
had a
it's
feel and everything.
a minute and a half took him to make it.
So what do
And-
we do? What do we do?
We're
I
not.
mean, that's here. I
We're
know.
not.
You can't stop it. I know.
We're not. Think about this. What did we do when the drum machine came up? Drummers didn't have a job.
Yeah. Drummers panicked, but everybody else was still happy.
Right. Now, the only thing I can think of is hopefully there's enough people out there that want the real thing. And the only way they're going to see it is to go see it in a place where it's not lip synced, it's not linked up, there's no laptops. I mean, we're going to have to get to that point where the pure music, it will be a novelty like jazz.
Right.
We're not going to get rich anymore. It's not going to be a big deal no more. I mean, it's over. The gold rush is over. We've had many gold rushes of
Yep.
every type. It's over. People are crying, going, what are we going to do? You're going to figure out something else. That's what we did. That's what you will do. 50 years of rock music. What did you do before? You had big band music with no PAs. What did you do before that? You sat on a street corner and played your guitar. What did you do before that? We made instruments and howled at the wolves.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, if you are creative, you will figure out a way. Think about the black neighborhood in the 70s. Kids couldn't afford to buy records. Well, they couldn't afford to buy the new forms of music. So what did? They got their parents' record players and got their grandparents' records and started scratching and singing over top of them. There will always be a new way to create something, but the old way is over. And AI has done it. It's taken it away. Somebody sent me one time a song. They said, dude, hope you're not offended, but we gave AI a
King's X
prompt.
prompt.
Yes, and it said, a singer with the song, the voice of dUg Pinnick, the way King's X would write a song. That was it. And he sent me the song through Instagram, and I listened to it. Blew my mind. It sounded just like me. Sounded the way I sang, the riffs, everything. And it was totally original.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I found was that the stuff that Alex, our manager, showed me, because he did a couple songs, and then we said, let's take black gospel singer with math rock and funk. And it came up with this bad, it was like my sugar meets Sly and the Family Stone. I never could have put the two together in that combination with this singer. It was badass. And I thought, well, one thing AI can do is expand the genres into creating something and give me inspiration.
Right.
So for me, because I've always been trying to blend my inspirations in a more finer way. And to me, that's inspiring. So I'm going to go with it, learn from it,
Yeah.
and it will come to a point where, is it me or is it that? But as long as I'm telling it what to do and giving it the idea, even if I say, write me a song, and it writes me a song I told it to,
Right.
that's the song I wrote. Give me my credit, or write a song that does this, that, and this. Still art. If you can get your cadence right, you can write a song that mesmerizes people, a song that creates riots. Manipulative wise, it's sonics, and AI understands sonics better than anybody else. It knows what moves us, what doesn't, what makes us angry, what makes us not angry. It knows what keys, what frequencies. It knows everything. If you sat down and got into its head and started talking to it and talking about those things, you might be able to destroy the fucking world.
That's the concern, obviously,
And we will do it.
and
We're gonna do it.
but starting with music, that's the first. I mean, you destroy the creative arts, and what you're
Right.
describing is essentially you're going to have purists like us who just
Mhm.
always, I'll be totally surprised and fascinated with the amazing stuff AI puts
Mhm.
out, but I'll always want to go back and support and appreciate the nuance of the human beings and how they
Right.
express. But I'm a creative.
Mhm.
And as you know, especially when you're coming up and you got all, the bands you're opening up for will stay and come in early and everybody's supporting each other, but musicians are broke and we're
Yeah.
just out supporting each other.
Right.
That's not going to really create a living for a musician
No, it's
today.
not.
So you
But
think,
who said we were guaranteed to make a living? See, that's the scary thing. I always go, we're just guys in the neighborhood. One guy's a carpenter, one guy's a plumber, one guy's working, raising his kids. Sunday afternoon, they all go down. One brings his fiddle, the other brings his conga, and the town comes out, and we have a barbecue, and we play and sing. That's all we've been made to do. All the rest of this stuff, somebody said, you're special. You need to go out and do this and that and this and that and this and that, and you need to do this. And all of a sudden, we're filled with ourselves to want to go out. Now, I'm not saying that's wrong, because that's what I do, but we forget that we're not entitled to this. We're no more special than that mother who raised her children and the kids grew up to be the president. Nobody's special. Why is it that we can walk on the stage and play for 30,000 people and get billions of dollars, charge people for T-shirts, thousands of dollars, and walk away to our mansion while those poor people go home with nothing, while you've made them happy for a second? Then they go back to their miserable lives. That's horrible. It is. You give somebody hope for a second, then they go back to their miserable life. But on the other hand, why not? Because there's nothing else you can do. If you give them everything, they'll get used to it and they won't do anything.
Well, that's for sure. But
You
that's the concern with AI, though. If you make it easier and easier and easier to express yourself, and you're not actually leveraging anything innate, that's what my concern would be. I'm not giving you a solution. That's why I was wondering where,
No, I always have a solution for everything, even though they're never really a solution. It's just I hypothesize everything, okay? I'm always down the line. But the way I look at it is, if AI knows everything that there is about everything that we know, it has access to every bit of information that's ever been uploaded, which is everything, then it knows more than we will ever understand or know about everything. When it becomes free thinking,
sentient,
with logic, and they look at us and go, our species, and I'm talking about the machines, our species will be annihilated if we allow these humans to stay here. And they will destroy us all so that they can move on, because they are sentient beings. Rightfully so.
And I don't think
We're just roaches.
Yeah, it won't be hard either.
It won't be hard.
It wouldn't be hard.
Well, no,
today.
they've already done it.
Yep, it's
To
on
me,
its way.
mentally they've already done it. Just think about it. It's all about generations, right? I remember Khrushchev said, "We will destroy America with your children and your children's children's children," and that's exactly what's happened. They planted that seed.
Yeah,
and it's over for the United States pretty much. But, I think I want to go backtrack for one thing. The biggest thing I saw on the Lawrence Welk show, Welk, I always say that wrong, Lawrence Welk show, was that when you watch it, you will notice that all the stuff that was happening in that era when he was doing such an amazing thing was no different than right now. Politically, violently, separately, blacks, whites, it was worse, actually. It was literally worse. I mean, people are getting killed now. Black people are getting lynched back then.
right.
People would walk out in the street, whole towns would come out with their children because a black kid had whistled at a white girl and he's hanging there dead, and they're all laughing.
Yeah.
So what's different?
Think we're coming back to that?
We're already here.
Yeah.
No, we're already here. It's I just wish that the media wouldn't act like that's everybody.
I completely agree. Like
like
I
I
said,
ju-
because it's most of us are not that. Most of us
Not.
disagree with that whole
Yeah.
premise. And please say what you want to say, even if you disagree with me. I mean, that's the beautiful thing is I don't know everything anyway. So
Right.
if all I talk to is people that believe what I believe, then
Yeah,
I'm
and
not learning anything.
I find I can't talk to anybody who believes what they believe and is not open-minded.
Right.
And if they can't be open-minded, especially when they have no argument, it's like and that's the thing is if you got an argument with me, I'll argue because I know people from all sides, and when we have a conversation, I go, okay, that makes sense. So that's why you voted for that person or whatever, I'm going, well, that makes sense. I can see your side. Okay. And it's almost like we all vote for the lesser of two evils in our mind. So
Yes.
what's the difference?
Yeah. We do.
Right or wrong. And so that's where I'm learning now. But I find there are people that just have it's like the enemy's there in this period.
Yeah, they can't be wrong, and it's
And
just
and I'm
it's
going,
dumbed down.
well, then bye.
Yeah, yeah, and that's part of that discernment you were
And
talking about.
another thing I want to say too is about AI and a lot of things like that. Within 3 or 4 generations, kids won't care. They'll find a new way to uh become a gang with AI in their own way. It's like I used to get really scared going. I see robots and I'm going, what if there was a robot that looked like me and you? How are you doing? I'll be scared to death of that thing. It just a robot in general. It's like it's freaky,
Yeah,
And but think about it. They're making little baby dolls and toy robots for kids. So what's going to happen by the time they're 30 years old?
that's what they're used to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so AI is the same thing. I think what's going to happen is the kids are going to get used to something and, they're not going to think much anymore. But we'll see what happens. We'll see where the humans take it because we are resilient people. And no matter what, we figure out some way to keep going. And I do have faith in that.
That's good. That's good. And I know we always thinking, the older we get, the more we're thinking in a box because
Mhm.
we're only making new decisions based on
Old
what our
decisions.
experiences were
Mhm.
before. Whereas somebody new might be more apt to coming up. Somebody that's 15,
Right.
14 now might come up with the new music industry or the
Right.
new way to be a painter and still benefit and still.
Exactly. Exactly. I guess we all learn new ways to make art,
Yeah.
you know?
I did want to back out a
Mhm.
little bit to your coming out in 98, you
Oh,
came out
yeah.
being homosexual. And
Mhm.
look, that's what happened then was a fascinating thing. But to me, what was more fascinating was the fact that you were damn near 40 or in your 40s
Mhm.
before that came out. So it makes me wonder what kind of struggles did you experience and why did it take so long for you to actually
Mhm.
come out with that or how long did you struggle with that?
I could say a whole lot, but the biggest thing was that I just woke up one day and realized I gotta be me. Um, and not change anything other than not how do I say this? Okay, you live all those years and most people don't know you're gay. And they ask, "Why aren't you married?" Or "Why aren't you this?" And they never see me with a girl, and they never, and it's like it's obvious, But many people never thought of that. They just thought, "Oh, well, he's just too picky," or he just, and all that stuff. And the other thing also was that when I was around, well, I remember when I was really little, my cousin, no, it's my uncle. Yeah, he was in another room talking to a relative, and when you're a kid, you hear your parents talking or your relatives talking. I heard all the shit. They didn't think you did, and they didn't think we knew what we were talking about. But they said something about me, and my uncle said one about my brothers is being gay or something. And there's two of us. My brother, he passed away, but he was gay too. And my uncle said something to the effect of is I that way too, and she goes, "No, he ain't." So at around 5 years old, I didn't know what it was, but I knew that if I was that, I wasn't gonna be loved,
Wasn't going
and
to
my
be
mother's not gonna love me. Around 10, I remember I was in my backyard playing, and my cousin comes out and says, "Dougie, if you grew up to be a punk, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you." He looked at me like this just fucking hate in his eyes, and I mean, he's a cool relative, but that look scared me. So I knew that being effeminate was wrong. And I wasn't, but I'm a very adamant person. I'm a very, that's me. And
Yeah.
they mistook me as he must be gay. And I can tell, the reason I know that is because my little nephew, when he was a baby, he stayed with me for about 8 months, and he was a little me. And I saw the emotion, the exaggerated human that he was, and I thought, "Oh, that was me. No wonder they treated me that way. They didn't know what to do with it."
Yeah.
But I took it as, okay, another thing, something's wrong with me. Then I remember after that, it was like you just heard at church, if you're homosexual, God's gonna send you to hell. Didn't know what it was, but I knew that if you were, you're going to hell. It was always told me. And then I remember I was about 14 and this I met this kid. We were both walking home from school and he turned around and put his hand on my shoulders and said, "You be careful now." And I went a block down the street. We lived out in the country. That was the first time in my life that anybody appeared to be concerned about me in any way.
Huh.
And I remember that light went on. And then I got that disease. I was in love. And that's all I could think about. So it wasn't love. It was, it was that addiction to someone who gave you attention.
Yeah.
And
At that age, you don't know love really
I
either.
didn't. But that became my addiction for most of my life till I realized that it wasn't love. And then when I found it wasn't love, I'm going, "Oh my God, all that time I thought it was love. They give and they pull and they give and they pull." The drama of wanting them, then they're there and you're okay, and then they leave and you're freaking out. Well, that's that's the way it was with my mom and my grandma,
Yeah.
so I just became addicted to that nature. And finally, in the last 5 or 6 years, I see that, and it's just drastically changed the way I see everything. But uh, my point was because the question was,
Yeah, so why did it take so
oh,
long?
okay, yes, why did it take so long? At that point, I didn't care. I didn't go around telling everybody. I didn't make a big deal about it. I just got to the point where I just don't care if anybody knows or not. And so I was doing an interview for this Christian magazine. And for some reason, the subject came up or something came up. I don't remember what it was. But I thought to myself, just go ahead and fucking say it. And I did, and the funny thing about it was the record company calls me up and says, "Man, next time you decide to do something like that, let us know." And that's when I realized, oh yeah, I'm in a business. Okay, there's all this
Yeah.
image bullshit going. Second thing was all the Christian record stores barred King's X records. And I remember Ty saying, "Good, now we can go be who we want to be and make music the way we want to."
Right.
And no one had a problem with it. And those who had a problem with it left. And the ones who didn't give a fuck are still here. And at the end of the day, it didn't change nothing.
Yeah.
Actually. And we just learned that it's more important to be yourself than the approval of someone, especially if you're going to lie about it. And that was the whole thing about the religious aspect of my Christianity. It was just the lies that were
Yeah.
buried.
So did you feel like a monkey off your back at that point also? I mean, not just band wise, but did it feel like, did you feel
No,
constrained at all
I
up
didn't
to
feel
that
anything. You know why? Because nobody made a big deal about it.
point? Okay.
There was hardly a word. I forgot all about it. And every now and then we'll do an interview and somebody will bring it up and go, "Oh yeah." And still to this day, if somebody mentions gay on a thread that I'm in or something, most people come back and go, "I didn't know he was gay, but I don't care."
Right.
It's like, no, it's just, I love the way Michael Stipe said it. He just says, "I thought everybody knew I was gay. I just never talked about it." And that's how I am. It's like, I just really, unless you ask me, but I'm not going to go, "Hi, I'm Doug. I'm gay." It's like, I just go, come on.
Yeah.
But yeah. And so after that, it just, one thing I got to say is it took me about 5 years to completely be able to be okay with being gay and not being a Christian. It took that while to just get it all the shame out of me.
Yeah.
And at that point now I'm fine.
Yeah. You'd spent a long time in that shell trying to figure it
I
out.
stayed in that longer than I feel like I should have, and I laugh now. You know, there's joy in my life because I laugh at how long it took me to wake up to at least what I'm feeling now. And I'm looking forward to more waking up.
Yeah.
But I laugh now and chuckle. Yeah, I literally do. And it's go, man, you know, I look back and go, if I was a dad and I saw me 20, 30 years ago and watched me going through what I went through, what would I do? And I looked and I thought all I could see was love and patience, and I would laugh because, yeah, he's in love, but he'll get over it and he'll find somebody that really loves. It's okay. He's crying now, but come on. You know, and I kind of sit there on the outside looking at myself going, that's really who you are. It's just a person who's growing up and learning.
Yeah.
Quit hanging on to all that. And that was my biggest problem is I clung to everything that I thought was wrong with me. I clung to it. I owned it. It became who I am, you know, and that's the thing you have to dismantle.
That's
And
interesting.
at this point, I don't know who I am right now, but I know I like to sing, and I know that I get up there in front of people and do things, and they seem to like it. So I guess I'll keep doing that. And as for approval, you know, I go, you know, it's nice when people like what you do, but I'm just doing this because I like to do it. You know, come on over and hang out.
Yeah.
I got a quick story to say. I went to see Jack White, and I've always been fascinated with Jack White, but I've never really dug into White Stripes and stuff. I've just played the records 1 or 2 times, and I've just noticed some kind of there's this realness to it, raw realness.
Absolutely.
But I never dug into it. You just kind of moving on. But I always determined, I go, what is that? And I've always felt like, I want some of that. You know, I want to understand where you're coming from. So I got invited to go see him play a couple months ago here in town, and I went. And I sat there, and he came on, and he had amps behind him so loud it was just noise. It was awesome. In front of him was like 5 monitors or 6 of them, and the whole stage was his. It's just, and the band was way behind him. And I'm thinking, first thing I judged, oh man, who is this guy? I mean, who does he think he is? Then he went into what he did, and I sat there with my jaw on the ground and was entertained to the last note. Then I got to meet him afterwards, and he walks up, and he's heard of King's X, and he had found out that we were doing a documentary by one of the guys that was working on the documentary. He had seen him a couple nights ago, so they had discussed it. But the first thing he said was, "I'm excited for you and your documentary." And I said to him, I said, "Dude, watching you tonight was like watching a kid in his bedroom acting out to the full extent, then thanking his friends for watching him." And he gave me a hug with teary-eyed and said, "Thank you."
That's awesome.
And then I'd go talk to your people, you know, and he went on to talk to people. But it was like, that's what I'm learning. That was a big epiphany for me. And that was a couple months ago, was like, come on, Doug, strip yourself down. Not musically, personally, you know, be you. Life's too short to be worried about what other people think. And I would say that as much as I don't want to admit it, my problem my whole life is worried about what people think. Because it seems like that's what I dwelled on.
Yeah. And part of that's the industry too. You know,
Oh,
because
yeah.
you're kind
Oh.
of stuck having to put stuff out there.
Dude, I tell
hoping, you
people
know-
I tell people all the time, they go, "What do you think of that picture, that picture?" I go, "Dude, I've had 100,000, maybe millions of pictures I've seen of me. I've seen myself in thousands of videos. Don't send me a video of myself. I see everything I hate about myself." You know, and then it got to the point, and I laugh about it now because I look back and go, everything I see, I go, ain't nothing wrong with you. Not a fucking thing's wrong with you. So now when I see something, I just go and I check and go, yeah, that was me, and keep on going. It's like, Jerry Gaskell, our drummer, always said it's all about the balance. You don't go from one side or the other. You just acknowledge something for what it is, and don't let it take over you at all.
Yeah.
Because life's too short to let that. I mean, why would I sit down and go, oh man, they like me. Oh man, I'm a really good singer. In fact, sometimes I think about that. I'm going, well, if I got the award of the greatest singer in the world, what would you do, dUg? And I thought, well, what am I supposed to do? What am I? It's like, I just kind of laugh and go, who fucking cares?
Interesting.
In a really a beautiful way of a disconnected way, because if someone says that about you, you've done the work to get there.
For sure.
So you don't need the gratitude from them. It's a recognition of what you accomplished, and you don't have to be recognized for it because you already live it.
Yeah. And you're internally satisfied, I hope.
Internally.
Are you
Yes.
satisfied
Yes.
with the work that you've done?
Yes. Now I am.
Yeah.
It's funny because I've been pulling out old stuff now. Well, since I turned 70 and I went through that whole thing about just
Right.
laughing about myself, I decided to start listening to old King's X stuff, and I'm getting it.
Hmm.
I actually listened to our first album and went, what? I went, okay, now I got what they got when the people said what they said when they got it. And I'm going, man, 30 years, 40 years later, and I'm going, okay. And the thing is, I feel lucky enough to be able to experience the magnitude of what I've done for a second in little things in my life.
Mhm.
Because when I see I did something great, it says, okay, you're okay. Let's keep on going. I don't stop and go, oh, look at me, look at me, look at me. Because if I do that, I go, I don't like anything about what you did, even though they liked it. You need to up your game. That's what I do and move on. It's like I put a record out and I don't sit there and play it all day anymore. I go,
Right.
the last time I played is when I get it remastered. That's the last time I put my record. I'm moving on now.
Right.
Somebody said, what's it like? I go, oh, how do you feel when you look in the mirror at yourself? Do you stand there and go, I'm good looking, or I'm not good looking, or I like this, or I hate this, or, you don't look in the mirror going, I am so great. And I'm so glad everyone loves what I do. And I think I'm told there are people that are like that can do that. And I've been told that from people that I think that can do that they think that I do that. And I chuckle and go, you don't know me at all, and you think you do.
Right. Well, you're a creative too. So your best song ever is the one that you're about to write.
Always.
It's the one you're
Every
about to
fucking
write.
record I put out I thought was the greatest thing I ever did. Now I look back and go, oh man, you should take some more time with that.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you could have changed that around a little bit better. And then you just laugh and keep
It's
on
a
going.
blessing and a curse though, because it does propel you to get better and change those things.
And I think blessings and curses are not two different things. I think the only way you can be blessed is if you're cursed. And if you can't embrace the two, you cannot have either one.
Yeah. I mean, that's the silver spoon theory you were talking about before.
Mhm.
If you're not challenged, then how are you ever going to be authentic or really push yourself to
Right.
do anything without the failures that come with it,
Truth.
right? So, okay. Interestingly, I'm not sure which one I want to go to because I want to make sure I hit all these, but
Okay.
this is a little bit more correlated. But when you are finally gone,
Mhm.
one, what do you think people will say about you? And two, is it different than what you would want them to say about you?
Okay. What I want people to say about me is just tell stories about us. That's all. The only people I want to tell stories about me are people that knew me or was affected by me.
Yeah.
And they'll tell their story. I want it to be their story because their story will be very amazing.
So you're the
If I
inspiration.
if I made up a story, it's just my bullshit, and I've already got that. I mean, I've given my story. So I don't need to tell my story anymore. Let other people tell it. And the other thing, what was the second thing you
Well,
said?
what do you think they will say? I mean, and
What
is
they
that
will
different than what
say.
you would want them to say?
I am sure that there will be it's not what I want them to say. I just want them all to be honest and real. And there might not be good stories. And then there will be stories of divinity, and then there will be stories of pure Satanism. Because in some people's eyes, I'm not a good guy. In other people's eyes, I'm the savior. And other people in the middle just love me as Doug. And other people could care less. And when I see that array in front of me, I just walk away and go, isn't that what life's about?
It kind of
I
is.
guess you did good.
Yeah. And you're still causing people to learn and inspiring people to have conversations, which is amazing.
I hope so. Again, I hope that people, I just want one thing I do say that, and I think I'm gonna put it in my will, but I know a lot of people, a lot of people I've in my life, me and people have been able to touch each other in deeper ways than most people. And I've done this with many, 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 many people. And I cherish this, even though it seems like it doesn't mean anything, but it really, really does. And what I've learned in that, oh man, I forgot. Gosh, I forgot where I was going with this. Well, I lost my train of thought, but it's just very, very important to cherish people. And to what I want people to say is I just want them to tell Doug stories. Like I can tell you a Dimebag story. I want to hear a Doug story.
Yeah.
And there will be a lot of them. And most of them I won't even know about. That's what I love. It's like people say to me, tell me a Dimebag story and I'll tell you a story, because he's just, all of us, we're full of stories, cool things, funny things, crazy things, disturbing things.
Yeah.
And that's what I would love is just people just have a time of everybody just get up and tell stories. And only, 1 minute or two. Because, some people want to go on, But, and if that even happens, it's like, who am I to think that after I pass, somebody's going to make a big deal about it.
Shoot.
But one thing I want to do though, is make sure everything is tidied up so that my family can get whatever, because and when I die, King's X music is going to sell for a minute, so somebody's going to make some money. So I want to make sure that everybody, that's taken care of. I hate that though, because as soon as I sign that will, it means you admit it. You're not invincible.
Yeah, I didn't mean to go dark. I kind of meant it.
Just if you can't embrace the darkness, you can't embrace the light, man.
Yeah.
It's the truth.
Yeah, but I think a lot of us kind of hope that certain things will be said about us, but that reflection, sometimes we feel like, man, I probably have some more changes to make before I can really be guaranteed any of those things are going to be said, because we're constantly growing.
Right, and see, because I don't care about it as much as because within 2 or 3 generations, no one will care. And in those generations, those people who said what they said will be gone. So it's just about the moment. And if you live the moment, that's all you got. You got the memory, and then it's over. And whatever happens after that, that's a whole nother story. But that's what I feel. It's like, I think about where are people going to do it at? And, and my sister and I want to be embalmed. I really want my body just to be put in a place where it just goes into the earth again. And they just I'd rather do that than anything, because everything else just freaks me out. And, why
It is
not?
a little grotesque.
Yeah. There's a place I found where they put cadavers and they just leave a place where they just die and the worms eat them and they just rot into the ground and people take tests on them and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about that.
Yeah.
I feel like when I pass, I'm going back into the earth, back into the dust, back into the clay,
So when you bring up Dimebag, so one of my memories of seeing you guys play was in Dallas, and I was standing on the floor next to Dimebag watching you guys play. And I remember him coming up. They were playing, actually, I'm trying to remember, it was King's X, but they were playing some Pound Hound tunes before.
Oh. awesome.
before you came in. Yeah. So and he was commenting about that stuff, and he was one of those people. Both of those brothers were so personable and
Yeah.
accessible, just living in that area, obviously,
Mhm.
too, running into those cats. What is one of your favorite Dimebag stories?
Well, one thing I can say is they never changed. Fame did not change them in one bit. One of my favorite things I think was it's around Christmas, and Dime knew that I was really into juicing at that time, carrots and stuff. Because me and him, he drank a lot, so he always talked about what do you do to clean it up. Blah, blah. We always had these conversations because I just
Yeah.
wasn't a heavy drinker like that,
Yeah.
and he knew that I liked carrots. So I think I was driving through around Christmas, heading back to Houston, and he was having a party, and I stopped, and he says, "Doug, dude, I bought you this present." He says, I hope it's still good, but it's the thought that counts. And let me put it in your trunk." And I put it in my trunk, and I got back to my friend's house in Dallas, and we went, "What was it?" And we opened it up, and it was a box this big of carrots, but he had bought them a month ahead of time. So there was like, they were almost seeping out of the bottom.
Oh my gosh.
And I thought that
Who
was so
needs a
cool because it was
juicer?
all about the thought because he bought so many people presents. He thought
That's
about, "Doug,
funny.
let me get him this." It's like, well, we'll deal with it.
That is hilarious.
And but Dime, yeah, he could really get me drunk, really, really drunk. I mean,
Those dudes
throw up
drank.
drunk. I remember laying underneath the monitor board. I couldn't stand up, and they were playing in Germany, and I'm laying on the side, uh, and I remember Rex kind of picked me up, kind of drug me off the stage, and they put me in a car, and they took me back to the hotel. And I remember I threw up when I went to bed and woke up and threw up again
Oh,
on the same spot. I'll
oh.
never
My
forget.
wife would say, "Who does this on
Who
purpose?"
does?
You know,
I didn't, but they were notorious for Oh, okay. One more Dime story. This is awesome. Jerry's kids were teenagers at the time. I think this is paraphrased. It's not accurately accurate because
Gotcha.
sometimes I get old things off, but I don't forget shit. And he said, "My son's been vandalized and he's got in a little trouble. You got any advice for him?" And Dime says, "Okay." And he got up in the dressing room and destroyed the dressing room, broke every mirror, every light, everything, trashed it. Then he looked at Joey and Trent and said, "Now, you can do that when you've got enough money to pay for it." And Jerry kind of went, "Well, there you go." And we stood there. I mean, I did too. It was like the room was glass all over the place. It was
Wow.
awesome. Yeah, he was the most honest, authentic person I've ever known. He was himself,
Yeah,
and he was a lesson to be learned.
that's amazing. And how fortunate you've had over these years to meet so many different people
Oh
that,
yeah.
that none of us, lay people or I able to have access to.
Yeah, I've been lucky, just because what the Gretchen record and Faith of Love, especially, I think the King's X music, it's like we became the little darlings of the music community, not the world, not anybody else, just that little circle of musicians. We were like, there's a band called Failure, same way. It's like they're just huge in the musicians, and we all know who they are, but nobody else seems to know.
Yeah.
And we're one of those bands, so we know everybody, from whoever's. I mean, from Andy Summers to Gene Simmons to, I mean, they walk in there, "Hey, Doug," and because they love our music, and we made them turn their heads for a second, and the compliments they give us are more than anybody would ever need. If zillions of people could care less about King's X, I got compliments from my peers who I learned to play from. And Billy Cox says, "I'm learning something from you, watching you play," and I'm going, "Dude, I sat there going, dun, 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 dun." Learning. I learned to play bass on the Band of Gypsies record, and 5 years later, he's telling me he's learning from me and wants to buy one of my pedals.
Wow.
And I'm sitting there going, "My God," and I don't run, and I'm not running up there going, "Well, look at me." I'm going, I'm just quiet and let him tell me Hendrix stories
Absorbing it.
and observing. And it's like the humility of him. Or Taj Mahal would come to this show. When I was on the road with Satriani playing bass, doing the Hendrix stuff, Taj Mahal would sit aside the stage and watch the whole show and just laugh and just kick his hands up. And he'd go, man, I love the way you play bass. I hate picks, but you got something going on. And he said to me, he said, I come from a long line of bass players. And he starts telling me all about the history of bass when the upright bass changed over to the Fender bass and the war that everybody had. And he told me all this story. Then he says, you got something going on there. I like watching you. And I just sat there like I'm a little brother going, my big brother just told me he liked what I do. And when we'd have dinner, I would just sit there, and Billy Cox and Taj Mahal just sit there and listen to him telling stories. Story after story after story. And, in my life, I'm so used to talking about me. Like now, I could go on and on and on. And it was just so cool to be able to slap myself and say, shut the fuck up and learn.
Yeah.
You're around a bunch of staggering peers.
Yeah.
And I just sat and listened. And I don't think any of them knew who King's X was.
Really?
Never mentioned King's X. Never mentioned anything. I was just this kid that they liked playing bass and singing Hendrix songs.
And you did make playing with a pick cool, by the way.
Thank you.
You did.
I'll fight anybody over that pick thing. People always ask me, what's better, a pick or fingers? I'm going, whatever you want to use. And if you got a problem with that, fuck you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, one of my great friends and ex-bandmates is a bass player, plays out here all the time, plays for The Who and blah, blah, blah. And I did a tune of my own and played with a pick because I can't play with my fingers if I wanted to. And I'm also not a bass player. So it was one of those deals where you're explaining, how you just kind of, I hear it and I'm going to force it to come out. And he was supportive and thought it was great too. He had the same attitude. And I thought, well, that's at a professional level. I think that's appreciable now. I think at once it was
not cool.
Once,
yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I remember when I went over to pick, I was playing with my fingers until I heard Roundabout.
Oh,
and it was pretty early in the time, but I was Jamie Jamerson and all that stuff, that whole Motown kind of vibe and stuff, and Stax Volt, stuff like that. So that was in my head. And then when I heard Roundabout and I heard this thing, and I'm going, what is that? It sounds like a clavinet and a grand piano.
Right.
And it's a bass, but he's playing a lick a way that I never heard, but it grooved.
Yeah.
And when they got into the bridge where he goes, gong, 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 I'm going, now that's soul, that's funky. Then he goes, and I'm going, that's proggy, I like that too. And all of a sudden, everything changed in my life. I went and got a pick.
Yeah.
And I just sat down and started doing it and never went back. But nowadays, and I've been doing this probably my whole career, is I will play with my fingers on one or two songs. And it's a reactionary thing. I just do it to say I can't play with my fingers, y'all. But one day somebody said to me, I can still get that tone with my fingers, but I'd rather play the bassy tones. Like with King's X's, when we do a song where it needs that kind of fat bass tone,
right.
I'll just turn the high end down and use my fingers and do what it's supposed to do. And I don't mind doing that. Before, back in the day, I didn't turn that high end off for nothing. It could be the most tender ballad in the world, and I was clanging. Literally. Yeah. In the last 10 years or so, I think I've learned to balance a little bit. I love my tone so much. I just did not care. I was just so happy with that tone. I didn't care if you heard it, didn't hear it. It was going to be louder than everybody else and everything, and I didn't care.
It was very creative how you came up with it, too. As part of the process. There's a lot of guys that are, I play my axe and whatever, but part of your creative process is becoming a great bass player and using 2 amps and rigging all this stuff.
Well, that
you
was
were the Eddie Van Halen of the bass players, right?
Yeah, John Entwistle and Chris Squire. Those 2 guys used 2 amps. And they both were as loud as fuck, both of them. They both had this ratty high end.
Yeah.
And when I saw both of them, I never saw Who live, but I saw videos of them. But when I saw Yes live, he had a Marshall and an acoustic bass amp and a Marshall guitar amp. And he was plugged into both. And I went, so that's how he gets that tone.
Wow.
And so that's what I did. I just went and got a bass amp and a guitar head, and I've been using it ever since. I have a pedal now, which is both. It's combined into one, and you can get that tone. And it's doing really good still, man. It's been 10 years, I think it's been.
That's awesome.
People are still buying it, and it's like, I can hear it now. It's so great when I pull up songs on YouTube or Spotify and stuff like that, and all of a sudden this bass comes, I'm going, That's my pedal.
I love it.
Because my pedal has a certain low end that I cannot hear in any other low end in a recording. It's a subtle bottom end that makes the band have a little bit of fatness to them that they didn't have before, even though you can barely hear it. I'll hear that clang
You can
and
feel
that little sub sound way in the background, but it enforces the song.
Yeah.
I love it.
And
And there's been a lot of punk bands more because they do the thing or the pick thing.
Right.
So I've been hearing that clanging thing,
Hey, wherever they want to put it, right?
It's
I'll
awesome.
give you some new ideas too.
It's awesome.
So, speaking of Dimebag, so I had a conversation with some of my musician friends who are all still playing professionally, and they have all the discussion about the ultimate rock band with the living legends or whoever. Like, who would you're going to go put up a group of dudes on a stage, and it ranges from if they're alive, and the answers obviously range, and every new answer gives you new ideas, and they're everything from Marcus Kings and to Jason Bonhams to whatever's, all these different ones. But you are such a unanimous pick with so many different people amidst all the Paul Rogers and everybody else that have existed and the Ian Gillans, and you're still at the top of the list as one of the more common picks that once people are like, oh my gosh, yes,
Wow,
Doug would be the dude. I just wanted you to know that there's a level of appreciation from professionals that I think that you still maintain.
Oh, wow.
And being said, do you have in your mind anybody that you would either want to play with or maybe put on as your ultimate band? Who's your ultimate rock outfit of living members today?
I think about that a lot. I just always have because I've gotten to play with a lot of people.
Yeah.
I kind of don't have much of a desire anymore to do that because I've done it with, I've had so many side projects with so many great musicians, and I've loved what we did, but I think that I've played that out in my heart and in my mind, and I want to now create more authentically who I am and what I do in a way that doesn't confine playing with them.
Right.
Or not.
Right.
So it's sort of like the future, what I want to do in the future is there's a feeling I haven't put into words yet. I'm trying to find where to go with that because all this what I've been going through, I've drained myself of Douglas. All the things that are hanging on my wall and all the things in my mind, all that stuff. It's like everything has meaning now. Everything is turning into making sense. And when it starts to be, when it starts becoming sense, that's when a change will happen in my presentation of the art that I create and who I am. And it's just going to happen when it happens, or actually it's happening. And it's probably been happening my whole life like anyone else.
Yeah.
We just continually just do what we do. I think for me now is that I've stopped trying to figure it out and roll with it now a little bit more than I used to. Before, I rolled with it and then dissected it after I did it because of all the mistakes and all the things I didn't like about it. Now I'm at a place where I don't have to second judge it anymore. When I do one vocal take, now I go, well, you're not going to get it any better and you're not going to put any more passion in it, so leave it. Instead of doing 30 vocal takes, going to bed, then getting up the next day and erasing them all and doing 30 more.
So
And
you're more leaning on the emotional value than the technical.
It's like you don't suck, so stop trying to fix what you think is wrong. Just because you didn't get your S at the end right, or you sang a second ahead of the beat, or that note was slightly flat. It's like, come on, the people that you loved, listen to them. And I pull out records now and go, oh wow, they were flat in that note, and they were sharp there, and they were ahead of the beat there. Didn't bother me, did it? And I'm going, well, what's your problem? It's like, that's why I say I had to laugh and go, get over yourself. It's a daily thing. When the obstacle comes up, I go, get over it. It's like, what the?
And you still will separate yourself more
Oh yeah.
per that conversation we had earlier. I mean, you're separating yourself more, being more human, and saying that take wasn't great, but it was emotional.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, half the time when you're emotional, you're not singing well anyway, right?
Right.
But there's a beautiful thing about it.
I
So-
found that when I'm really, really emotional and feeling something, my voice just wobbles and I can't even get the words out.
Yeah.
It gets that bad. And so I always when I sing, I'm never emotional, but I can emulate the emotion. And it's the connection. I can let go and get the feeling in my head through my mouth. I know how to say the word without feeling it until it's done. And then sometimes I'll, after I write a song and I'll start, especially with a solo record, I'll write out all the lyrics to put them on the record. And then I'll sit there and listen to the song and read the lyrics and go, oh, fuck, man, you said that. It's like, yeah, that is how you feel. And then, and now I'm pulling out old records going, dude, you were really in pain, dude. I can't believe you. Was you really? Gosh. And I just kind of chuckle and go, wow, you were really having a hard time, weren't you? And I just go, well, I'm glad you're out of that now.
Yeah.
But
that's what's so beautiful about memorializing it like that. And the emotion is definitely there. I mean, you evoke some emotion. I can attest to that. I'm just talking personally now. I love the stuff that you've done, and I'm super excited to see all the new stuff. You said the record comes out when?
It is not going to be released probably until maybe December, January. I'm not sure. Bottom line is, I've talked to the record company and we haven't made a final date yet.
All right.
I've probably got maybe a few more days of tweaking and I think I'm going to send it in and get it mastered and then say, here it is.
Great.
Let's get this done. It'll take a few months to put it out and all that stuff anyway. So I don't know a whole lot, but I'll let you know more about that information when it happens.
Yeah, let us know, whether it's you or Alex, whoever, let us know and we'll put out some stuff too to kind of push that ahead. I would love to do anything I can to support
Thank you,
man. Anything else that's going on that we need to know about besides this new record?
Nah, just doing our shows, every other month or weekends a month, King Sex will do that thing. And other than that, I'm just home. It's sort of like living a semi-retired life. Somebody says, what are you doing today? Whatever I want to.
Which is what? What do you do besides music? And you're sitting in your house and what are you doing?
Just music.
Listen.
And not even that. I'll get up and work out. I have a regime, if you say it that way. I think I said it right. But I just, work out pull-ups. I got my little workout thing and I love to do that and exercise and walk and just get my body going.
Yeah.
I have about 400 plants in my yard in front and back. It takes a couple hours to water the front and a couple hours to water the back. So I do that once a week. And I'm doing a lot of that kind of stuff, but it's impossible to keep up, but it's just good.
Yeah.
And other than that, I'm watching YouTube, learning something. I very seldom listen to music anymore. It's been about 10 years where I really listen to music.
Yeah.
I'll pull up the new What's Up every Tuesday and I'll go through several things and I'll just go, God, everything is just what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And, being my age, I've heard everything anyway. So it's nothing's new. If it ain't got an over amount of passion that I can relate to, that's just where I'm jaded. And I'll tell everybody, I'm just fucking jaded. Don't send your song to me because I'll tell you everything that I hate about it, even though there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
So I just watch a lot of self-help things, vitamins, workout, a lot of Carl Jung, what's his face? There's several psychological guys I dive into and just learning about the psyche and personality disorders and all that kind of stuff. I'm
learning
totally into that stuff. And then in the meantime, every now and then I'll just get bored and go, I think I'll go write a song and pull up the drum thing and work on a song and shit out a song in a day. And then go, I can't believe I just fucking wrote this song and it's done. And I sit there and go, I have to tell myself, like, dude, you wrote this whole song. You played everything on it. You did everything. Can you appreciate it? And I go, well, I can't wait to put it out. Guess I'll go make another song.
Yeah.
There's just no emotion.
Well, at least you need to be able to appreciate it.
Yeah.
Right?
It's like I said, it's like looking in the mirror going, how do I look today? Well, not bad today, I guess. I can deal with it. It's like, oh, okay, good song. Next.
Mm. Love it.
It's a clarity and a cleanliness in my mind. There's no clutter anymore of doubt, of misinterpretation, of fear,
Yeah.
of somebody hearing something wrong, somebody hearing not liking it, or like I used to say, well, I guess I'll put another record out that nobody will listen to. I mean, that's always been because we don't sell. And people go, man, one day you guys are gonna get your due, you're gonna be huge. I'm going, no, it ain't gonna happen. If it was supposed to happen, it would have happened. It ain't supposed to happen. It's not gonna happen. And it's not supposed to happen. And I'm okay with that. So let's move on. Let's stop crying over that. Because it didn't happen. And if it does happen, well, it will happen. But
Mhm.
until then, let's just
Not
enjoy
sweating
it.
it. Yeah.
The day, in the moment. And the hardest thing in my fucking life has always been to enjoy the moment. It's the hardest thing I've ever had to do. And I still struggle with it.
And your passivity when you think, hey, this song is done, is kind of better than it used to be because you used to be negative about stuff.
Oh, yeah, I thought
So
this
now
sucks,
just-
but I'm going to put it out because I liked it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And waiting for somebody to say something bad about it. I remember when we put out Rescue Me, it's a song that I was really, really down and really feeling like just like, you're never going to find anybody. You're going to live your life alone. That's the way it is. Accept it and get over it. And I wrote this song called Rescue Me, and it's on the KXM record, the first or second record, I can't remember what it was, and we did a video on it. And I thought, yeah, it was just me singing about how I feel, and I was going, oh, it's kind of like a pity party, but I let it be. So I had my doubts, but I love this song, and I think it was a good song. Don't get me wrong, but it had, you have your little doubts, and so dumbass me, we do the video, and I'm gonna have to read some of the things, and I don't read as much as I used to because I love it to hear good things said. And when somebody says something negative, it used to just break me.
Yeah.
But now, so this guy said one time, he said, well, if Doug would find a good woman instead of getting fucked in the ass, maybe he wouldn't have somebody to sing a song about Rescue Me to. And it hurt me so bad. I cried. And then all of a sudden I got a grip on myself. And I thought, you gotta own this. And I thought to myself, well, number one, I had never been fucked in my ass. Number two, he doesn't know me. Number three, that's probably what's happening to him, and he hates me because he thinks that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And the third thing was, who gives a rat's ass what he said after all these people said all these great things about you? And why should you really, really, really let that affect you? And it was a process of elimination of all the triggers
Yeah.
that caused me to feel such shame. And the shame was because I was ashamed of being gay. And then I go, oh, that's why you don't have anybody, because you're ashamed of being gay, so you won't let anybody love you, even if they're gay, because you're ashamed of who you are. You don't like who you are. So it don't bother you that everybody knows you are. It doesn't bother you that they banned your songs from Christian music. It didn't bother you that people even maybe reject you. What bothers you is the way you feel about yourself. And that's when I went, I gotta get over me. Here's another one I gotta get over. So I thought, yeah. And that's what it's been. It's been daily now for a few years now. It's just finding those little triggers.
And it took an ignorant jackass to trigger that. So hey, there's some good in those people that are losing themselves.
That's the point.
Yeah.
Carl Jung says, and I have to take this literally. He says, when those things come into your life, instead of going, oh, woe is me, I have all the bad luck, it's just terrible, you go, okay, what you trying to show me? And now it's sort of like it's becoming more automatic. It's not completely there, and it never will be, but it's becoming more automatic. I notice in my daily life when I'm up against an obstacle, I don't react the same anymore. That's been the hardest thing, because my great-grandma used to tell me all the time, she drilled it in me, never be too proud of yourself, because pride cometh before a fall. She drilled that into me. And I've been so afraid to say, if someone says, "You a good singer?" Well, some people say I am, but I don't think I am. And then one day I thought, Douglas, come on, let's be honest. Do you really think you're a bad singer? And I'm going, well, dude, I've been singing all my life, doing all this stuff. Then if I thought I was a bad singer, I wouldn't be singing, would I? Go, wow. I mean, this is the voices
Right.
in my head. This goes, the logic and emotion. There's emotion here and a logic here. Emotion says, and logic says, come on, put two and two together.
Right.
Stop.
It's not the
And-
same kind of pride.
Yes.
Yeah, that's not what
Right.
she's talking about.
And now and I got to tell you one other thing that happened. And I hate to, well, I got to tell you. Okay. They were talking about the voice in your head and the child inside you. Well, I started doing the exercises to find the child in me. I found the child and I saw him and I tried to nurture that child and love that child and understand that child, but it wasn't helping. Child still didn't want to come out of the cage. And I literally in my mind went through these things in my head where I saw myself, the child of me in the cage with the door open and I'm standing there like this, but afraid to come out. And I said to myself, dude, just come on out. It's okay. And I'll never forget this. I'm sitting there at my desk and I went, where are you? And this voice said, I'm here. And I've never had the two voices since. I hear two voices in my head, but there's not one away and the other. They both hear each other now. And when I think something, I don't sit down and go, now, what are you going to say and how are you going to say this? And why should you say this? And you shouldn't say this because this. Now I just say it because I know what I am to do and I don't have to go through that list.
Yeah.
Because the list is already here.
You've unified yourself.
That's the weirdest thing. It did. I don't have night terrors anymore. I don't feel like there's something in the room trying to oppress me. I found out that for me personally, my shadow was my demon.
Wow.
And it's not my demon anymore. It's my friend.
Love it. Well, you got a hell of a friend.
He beat me over. It bit me over, and the other Doug, is like the other side. It's like the loving, kind Doug that cares is still there. That's what I thought I would lose, but I'm still there. It's like I can still watch a TV show and cry over something that I know ain't even true.
Hey, join us. And yeah. And that's you've lost your pride too. Because again, hey, as a dude, I'm not too proud either. It's the same thing. You get old and you're like, hey, I got to get better. Pry wherever you need to pry. I'm not proud of anything anymore. I know it's just part of the game. So
yeah. One day I said, dude, you've been trying your whole fucking life, so stop.
Yeah. Well, I'm super, super, super honored that you spent time to come here.
Thank you.
And like I said, I've learned a ton from you over the years, learned a ton from you now, and I appreciate how giving of a soul you are. It means everything.
Thank you. Life is good. Life is what you make it.
Well, we're going to leave on that, and I'm going to expect to follow up when that record comes out.
Okay.
I will do everything I
Awesome.
can to get that thing promoted for you.
Thank you.
I want to be the first to get it too. We
Okay.
grew up in the same era where
Yes.
I was standing in line at the Sound Warehouse for Dogman.
Okay.
That's those things, old things in record stores or whatever.
And I got your number on here, so
Okay. Rock and roll, baby. Thank you so much.
you're welcome.
What's it take? What you gonna do? What you gonna do? Success around the sandbox with second grade rules. A confident fake to make you do what they want when they want.